Peace to the family, peace to the family, peace, love, and light. Welcome back to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday, sponsored by No Ledge Media. This is your host, Brother Blue. Soon to be joined by my co-host. All right. Peace to the chat. Peace to the chat. Get yourself settled in. The show is about to begin. In the meantime, in between time, if you haven't already, go and subscribe to Netflix. All right, Netflix.com. If you have not subscribed or you have not checked out the content, Netflix, please go and do that. All right. Also, for your herbal needs, holla at Mama Pill, greenleaf-herbs.com. All right. That's greenleaf-herbs.com. This is a wonderful, wonderful time to get a seasonal cleanse. In the time of spring, this is when you put an emphasis on your liver, right? And there's a connection and a correlation there. Hold on, let me go. Give me 1 second. I want to go on Instagram and share this with the people, invite the family over there as well, so we could talk about the importance of the liver, especially during this time. All right, peace to the chat. Keep that up there for now. Peace, love, and light. All right. We ain't got nothing but bars, nothing but fire tonight. So get yourselves adjusted to whatever you need to do. We finna go in. All right. Peace, love, and light. What's good with the family? Let me know the sound is good. Everything is clear. Tough Taco Tuesdays. All right, let me go live. Indeed, indeed. Peace to the family. Peace, love, and light. All right, sounds good. Let me just right here. YouTube. Let me let them know that we're over on YouTube so they can come over and see it live. What's good with y'all? Yeah, so the deal right now is during the springtime. The spring is when you traditionally do a seasonal cleanse, right, of the liver. Get this ready. Yeah. So in the springtime, this is a wonderful time to use the time that you have confined to unwind and take the stress off of your system, right? In particular, the system that is of most, the part of most people's conversation right now is the immune system. So how do you take a level of stress off the immune system? You remove toxins from the body, right? And the place in the body where toxins are accumulated, right, is in the liver. And the fact that the color associated with the liver is yellow, and yellow is synonymous with the beginning of spring, this would traditionally be the time that people do a liver cleanse. And the fact that spring is also synonymous with an energy associated to fire, right? Which is that Aries energy. This is when you see if you were on point or off base. Hence the fact that they would launch such an attack under this planetary energy, right? And then you have to understand these conjunctions in particular, they amplify this experience. Hold on one second. We add in my co-host for the evening, my brother Ken BRISBON.
What it do?
Peace, love, and light.
What's happening?
Okay, you got a combination of Teddy Riley
and
Babyface going on.
Yeah.
You looking like Teddy Face. Oh shit.
Teddy.
Yeah, y'all gotta go to YouTube and see the God.
Yeah, you know.
The God showed up. You know, this is work, so he showed up for business. This is our 31st consecutive episode of nothing but uncut, unapologetic bars, right?
Sure.
And the fact that these episodes are in a time capsule that is not a time capsule where we are celebrating our elders and our ancestors saying, yo, they're the legends of 20 years ago. Like today's episode is titled Tough Talk Tuesday 31, Bobby's World, right? So we just saw from this weekend through the demonstration of the Teddy Riley and Babyface debacle, because what we got used to seeing was the curation of catalogs, right? What you saw in the RZA and the Premier interaction, because it wasn't a battle, we call that the curation of the catalog, okay? Because we are living in a time where we are enshrined inside of a box, it is important that we look at what we have in terms of museum level artifacts, right? Because you know not whether this is your last dance. So let's see what the true value and worth is for everything that we have produced in the times in which we have become crystallized through pressure to express. So we go into the time capsule and we hear, oh, Babyface. We hear, oh, RZA, right? We hear all of Teddy's catalogs and Teddy's hits. We remember about Bobby. You understand? We remember about Bobby. So people is asking, yo, who won the Teddy Riley and Babyface debacle? Bobby Brown won. You understand? Because we saw a consecutive return to Bobby energy in the age of Bobby when it's Bobby's world, right? So before that, we seen Bobby Digital, right? He started out as RZA, but he had to switch to Bobby Digital because if you don't have your audio right in a digital world and you are analog, you can cancel out your catalog. Those were balls, by the way. I got to get my own bombs. Hold on.
Drop them, bro. Ready. Cook. Go cook. Cook.
You understand? So we are looking at Bobby's revenge. We are looking at Bobby's world. We are looking at the return of Bobby. You understand? All of that is taking place. So you sent me a video the other day with the brother B.O.B. What was that about?
He was on, he was talking about flat Earth. But that's another Bobby though, right? That's another Bobby.
Right. And
go ahead.
Yeah, he got with Panic and he got his revenge.
Bobby's revenge.
Panic,
sure.
Yeah, Panic took Neil deGrasse Tyson and he sliced him.
Facts.
Right? Facts are not facts. So we're looking at Bobby's revenge. So the fact that Teddy Riley, regardless of the catalog that he has, is extra large, is triple X, is out of this world. Is, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm listening to the playlist and the shit that Teddy Riley has production skills. I mean, production credits for. This is the museum. right? But if you fuck the audio up in the digital realm, you can destroy your entire catalog or put this shit in jeopardy where now something so pristine is associated with beams. Nothing but bars. So can you speak on that, God?
Well, we can touch on glamour for a second. And what glamour is. Glamour is illusions, right? Makeup is glamour, right? It's a form of witchcraft. Nothing wrong with it, but it's enhancement, it's a trick. So a lot of our gods of analog, we elevated them based on glamour. Now today I went back and I was listening to their song lineup, and there's a clear difference of Babyface's songs and Teddy Riley songs. First off, Teddy Riley got a stupid catalog, right? The thing about it is it's in music, it's called dynamic, right? So one sound comes followed by a next song, it bounces, right? So Teddy Riley's songs, it slaps, so it jams, right? And that was the thing. Teddy actually came to battle Babyface. Babyface came to play songs, right?
Babyface came to play songs. He don't even. He couldn't entertain the concept of a battle. Like, that's beneath me. Like, who does that?
I don't do remixes.
Like, I really like the music. He's like, let me show you the opportunity to be honest to you, and we're gonna go back and forth for records.
Let me tell you how I know that Teddy came to battle and Babyface didn't. When Teddy got signed off, Babyface didn't want to proceed without him. In a battle, you step on a person's throat, boom. Teddy was on his page with the piano going in.
Facts.
So he came to battle. All right. So, but glamour though, what's happening is people are seeing their gods behind glamour. And that's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz used glamour. The Wizard of Oz had all these tricks and all this shiny shit. It made you scared. What'd you say?
All the shiny fruits, right?
Yeah, it triggered emotions. But then when you look behind the curtain, it was a small person on a bullhorn that was very afraid, right? So you seen DJ Khaled, you seeing Diddy. Nothing wrong with Gray, nothing at all. That's a beautiful thing. But that's not how they look in the regular world. Right? They use glamour.
Oh, right. Illusion. You know what I'm saying? That's not how they look without the illusion. The illusion is the studio lights. The illusion is the makeup. The illusion is what's casted. It's the magic. You know what I'm saying? They are the priesthood. They are part of that particular magi. But they got left holding the stick. Right.
Now, Black excellence in modern times is based on glamour. It's not based on anything but other than that. Now, I shared with you, I went back because I watched the Clark sisters. I watched the Clark sisters documentary. I got a gospel background, so I grew up in a church, so that resonated with me, right? So their mom was
Christ consciousness.
What'd you say?
I said, so we got to talk about Christ consciousness one day. Remember we were supposed to have an episode on that? We didn't get around to it. I want to talk about the importance of gospel and the significance of the Black church as an integral part in the time period of Black America, and how when we talk about being foundational, we at least have to understand what that is, even if we don't agree with it. It's mandatory that you know the floor. You know what I'm saying?
The problem is that people didn't, the new age, the conscious people didn't go back to the Black church and add consciousness to it. You just left it alone. But you're not going to do nothing in Black America without the Black church. Good luck with that. That is the foundation of the Black American experience. You can't get around it. So you can go in it and remix it and tweak it, just like new age pastors have included things like The Secret into their sermons, prosperity messages to their sermons. They have totally bit off the script of Reverend Ike. Let's call it what it is, right? But I watched the Clark sister documentary, and the mama was cold, and I wanted to do a little more digging, and so I started looking at Mahalia Jackson, right? It was I can't tell you the date on this video, but there was no glamour in this woman's voice. There was no studio engineering. I was watching her live, Mahalia Jackson, and she sung with nothing but pain, right?
Yes.
And it got me. So I started looking at just a lot of old Black performers and how they were sweating on stage, Black thinkers, things like that. And you had to be excellent to be in your position, right? To be successful, a successful Black man or Black woman in 1940, you had to be exceptional. To be a successful Black person now, you could be totally mediocre. It's politics, right? So we base Black excellence in modern times on glamour, right? That's a problem because you have millions, not millions, but you have a very select few people that really do this, and they can't, because glamour is always going to hit different in modern times. So now what you're seeing with the fall of the gods, you're seeing no glamour, right?
Right, the absence of glamour.
The absence of glamour, what does it hit like? So what is glamour? The whips, right? The whips, makeup, the studio engineering. Let's be clear, if you're an artist now, or if you're a producer, Pro Tools is so AI, artificially intelligent, that a trash song can sound fire because the engineering is so crispy.
Facts.
Right?
Facts. Yeah.
The engineering is out of this world. Now you remove that. You remove that. You remove the glamour, and you actually don't have anything. So millions of us are attracted to glamour. So we've been cyborg and artificial intelligence for a long time. We don't deal with the real thing. Right. Instagram is nothing but glamour. That's not how people really look. Right? The music, that's not how people really sound. Right? Also, another form of glamour is regurgitation. Because of John Henrik Clarke, Malcolm X, Ashra Kwesi, the people in New Black Thought haven't had to create anything, because you could just spit back what other people said. That's a form of glamour too. Because you don't have to be a crafter or excellent at the angles that you're coming from. You don't have to let your thought bake. Go to somebody's platform. They jump from topic to topic to topic to topic different. They don't sit with that thought. And that's glamour. Excellence takes time. You got to let it bake. You got to do the work in the unseen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what we're seeing is the fall of the gods, because you can't hide behind glamour no more. Right? Your favorite celebrities have nothing to say right now. Right? They need to post the flex. If I strip away the flex, what you got? Nothing. If you can't pop tags, what you got?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right? They're left for nothing. Yeah.
So
they were stripped of trinkets.
Right. So it's very interesting that when you dig in, go ahead.
Esoterically, it's what you call the lesser lights, and these are the fallen stars or the fallen angels, what will be represented as, people that are transfixed on this whole aspect of starlight or stardom. You know what I'm saying? When that is what they said would be an illusionary light, a false light. And we seen the minute that they took the lights away, look at them. Look at the Breakfast Club without the studio background. Look at Wendy Williams without the studio background. Look at Ellen without the studio background. Look at Diddy without the Beijing.
That's glamour. That's glamour.
You talking about?
Yeah, totally.
Teddy Riley put more attention into visual performance than actual audio performance. You know what I'm saying? how can you be a top tier producer / engineer and you don't know how to interface with the Instagram? You know what I'm saying? Or not have access through your network through enough of professional experts for you to make your motherfucking shit work. You dig what I'm talking about? So it's just like during the time that I said overlaps with 2012 and 2020. 2020 is, you know, synonymous with perfect vision. Dig what I'm saying? 2012 is synonymous with Maya, the illusion. So the overlapping in the 8-year 44 cycle of 2012 and 2020 is being able to utilize perfect vision to see through the Maya. I'm talking about. Hold on.
You told me hold on.
Yeah, I got. Now just gotta let one rip. That's all. Just gotta let one rip. And the fact that the sun is intensified and is having its most increased solar activation in the last 10 years, right? It's already, it's going to 10x itself, they're saying, in terms of the UV radiation. They're saying that the solar flares that are expected this year are 10 times anything that this planet's ever felt at a time when there's being a considerable strain on the grid as is, right? But that sun is also conjoined right now by a second sun.
You have a cool idea, but maybe you don't know what to do with
it. To look like
easy. First things first, you need a website.
You know what I'm saying? So not only is that sun a 10x sun, but the sun has a conjoined object next to it that we're not quite sure what it is right now, right? It's still at an early phase. And also upcoming, they have a asteroid called Atlas that's 5 times the size of Jupiter that's supposed to be passing through this atmosphere. And all it just speaks to this extra illumination that is going to be in our skies, you know what I'm saying, in the upcoming months. And all of this representing an extra light or extra octave of what people are now able to see. You know, so these are pivotal times, especially for people such as myself and you, that offer this level of discourse, because when the light intensifies, that also means that people are going to be seeking light. You know what I'm talking about? And these are the pills that, you know, automatically help people build and catch up in the race, because we can say without having to stretch the imagination that we have episodes that are only 2 to 3 or 4 weeks ago that are already certified classics because they was prophecy. And everything that we said has already come to pass, like to the T.
Oh, the welfare state, that rolled that right out, right?
Like point for point. Step by step. Like almost if they're over here taking motherfucking notes. Like, all right, shit, good idea. Let's roll this out.
Point for point. You know.
So
yeah. So look, let me share.
So I did want to because I want to finish the connection I was making to this link so I could go into another link. I was saying that in the springtime, which is where we're at, but still under this Aries energy, it's very confrontational. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of confrontational energy in the air. Hence, you see the fact of the militias running down. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to hear nothing, disobeying every order and wanting to smoke. You dig what I'm saying? But to the bold goes the fortune, right? Or what is it? Nature favors the bold.
Fortune favors the bold.
So fortune favors the bold. So even that aggressive stance and that measure and the fact that it popped off in many places, this country knows that it's under a level of pressure that it can't keep people trapped inside of the box. The box is about to blow its lid. So what you do, like a tea kettle, you just let this shit up for a little while and let some steam out. You understand? You don't take the whole top off. People are under the illusion, right, that there's a level of freedom that they can come outside, but they still have to have, be mindful that there's still an invisible enemy out there. And at this point, there's so much poison in the air in terms of rumors of, you know, if they would concoct a plan and all of the information and proof is coming out to show you exactly where the shit was made, what lab, who did it, when they did it, you understand? Who's to think that that follow up, or, you know what I mean? When you have a atmosphere of chaos, you just add on to it. How can people tell the difference? There's a lot of people that are dying from things out there that are other than what's classified as COVID-19. And they're saying that that particular virus has not even been isolated or identified under a microscope for them to say, oh, we know what that is. It's just a name. And people are dying for other things. And a lot of people are losing very, very close ones. You know, there's nanas and there's aunties and a plethora of people that are checking up. And the entire premise and the ritual and the dignity of death has no longer been one that is respected in this place. So even the fact that we see something like Hajj being canceled, and that circumambulation was necessary to put the jinn or aspect of jinn intact, and even for the people who were taking that journey, that was for them in their belief, in their spiritual system, the way for them to absolve themselves of their sins. When you cancel that and you cancel church, you know what I'm saying? And these people don't get a chance to participate in those lifetime rituals, that allows for the propensity for this planet to be overrun by a particular energy of an entity that is of a lower nature, you know? So, with all of that being said, and all of the stuff from the deep state and from the underworld and the underbanks and the undergirdings of society coming to the surface in terms of their pedophile rings, it's just a lot of energy for people to think that they can arbitrarily just walk back into and be fortified in an environment like this. So if no other time, it's very important that people address their biological errors if in fact they want to be charged up. And the thing that you have to address in springtime at a time like this is the liver, because the liver is where the majority of your toxins are contained. And if the liver is damaged, or if the liver is not treated, then those particular toxins start seeping into the blood. And hence the fact that your immunity will ultimately be broken down. But during this heightened time of Mars energy, you're also going to be expressing anger and aggression and getting into confrontations, right? And then you're going right into Taurus, and that's about bumping heads. And that's a money energy. So you want to be focused, balanced, and sensitive, because there's certain plays that are available right now that will never come around again. And you don't want to fuck that one up. You know what I'm saying? You could be chasing off the opportunity of a lifetime just because you can't control your energy, your emotions, and everything. So, Mama Pill got some good herbs for the liver, dealing with the liver detox, addressing those toxins, clearing the liver out. All right.
Nice. So I want to touch on what you just were saying about some of the lower nature energies right now, and what it is to me, from my POV, is fear. Black people right now are scared to death. Terrified. So just so we're
look. Okay, I want to just make a real quick juxtaposition. Right. Hence the fact that, like I said, fortune favors the bold. The Europeans said, no way, right? You're not keeping me in the box. And I'm showing you what I'm willing to do to defend mine. Black people right now are saying, don't you dare come out the box. They trying to set you up. So there's a complete diametric opposition in terms of the way that two quote unquote groups of people are seeing this or willing to face it, right? One speaks of fear, right? Without no hyperbole. Like I don't have to make that up to tell you who we're talking about. And the other one speaks to, look, glory, like shit, whatever it takes, I'm willing to do it. You're not going to tell me that I got to be cooped up in the box. That's not how I live my life. That's not what this country is about, right? So you have to have, what ethos does Black America have behind Black America that gives them the gumption and the gall to step on faith? It's the Black church, but if they close the Black church, where are these people getting their nuts from? Where are they getting their hope and their inspiration? Remember, it's a hopiate. Hope is the dope that you feed Black America. You understand? If you take the hope from them, what do they have?
Celebrity, right? You have Cardi B, you have Erica Campbell. These are the names that I've heard say stay home. Now these women aren't economists. They're not even health professionals, right? They're not epidemiologists. I think I said that word right. They're none of that. They sing songs. Nothing wrong with singing songs, but when you're dealing with Black America, you're dealing with a culture a people that is raised by media. The things that we say, how we move, how we get married, how we dress, what we're taught what to think, not how to think, right? So we are TV, pop culture. We're raised by that, okay? And if you step away from that, then you are outside of groupthink, and you have to bear the burden of being the weirdo. The fear that is being pushed to the people, I've seen not T.I., but Tyrese, I've seen Plies. These are Black America's gods, like it or not. And what they say goes, okay? Mm-hmm. One of the flaws of Black America as a whole is not understanding America. And what that means is that America is set up on economy, not feelings, not what should be, right? And when we tend to look at America, we look at it from a hippie and an idealistic, well, it should be like this. Right. We deal with should, but not what it is, right?
Not what it is.
So
it should.
You got two choices. You either gonna starve to death, because if you stay in the house, you still need toilet paper. So that comes from workers. It still costs. You still need to earn. You still have mortgages. No matter how long they waive it, people are going to want some type of capital because everybody got a boss. So you're either going to die from being idle, or you're going to take your chances and go outside and make you some money and die from the Rona. Either way, fortune favors the bold. What you want to die from, right? So the thing about it is the reason why a lot of Black folks are scared and want to stay in the house, not all, but most. Majority of niggas don't want to do shit in the first place. So it speaks to that. So you line that up with fear, and you line that up with the ingrained seed from the 60s, the Moynihan Report and all that, the welfare mindset. Look.
Can you speak about that? Because a lot of people might have heard that for the first time, and I just pulled it up the other day. We're talking about the Moynihan Report called The Negro Family.
The Moynihan Report.
In the pathology.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the pathology of the tangle.
Well, the Moynihan Report was a study done by, what's his name? What's the first name? Moynihan. And he was looking at I'm sorry?
Patrick Moynihan.
And he was looking at the Black social strata and how the lower tier Blacks was going to basically wreak havoc on the top tier, the middle class tier. And it was side by side with the welfare state. Because of welfare, it has robbed the people, men in particular, of genius and ingenuity. Now, when we talk about true Black excellence without glamour, one thing you don't have with these people is welfare. Either you sink or you swim. Think back to the periods of these names that we always raise up. They had to get it done. And to be something, you had to be the best of the best. Welfare took that out of the people. If you know that the government is going to take care of you, why strive for genius? Why strive for excellency? Right? So the reason why the people don't want to go outside has really nothing to do with the coronavirus. Partially, it has everything to do with the spirit and the backbone of the people has been broken, particularly the men. Okay, the backbone has been broken. The confidence and self-esteem has been broken. If you already think that you're at war and the black man is the most hunted and all this shit that they tell you in pop culture to reduce your confidence, really from liberal media, then we already know from Bruce Lipton's research that the biology of belief, you really see yourself like that. So people don't need much to not go outside. They just need a little bit to not be shit. So when you look at the,
it needs just
when you look at the comments, they're like, oh, they don't care about us. That's a really big thing in Black America. They don't care about us, right? And that comes from a feeling of you need validation from other people. You love the world and it don't love you back, and you're sad about that. When Chinese people don't love you, why should they? That's a new phenomenon of multiculturalism. The American Negro has bought into that ideal of multiculturalism, really loving everybody. Now, what I will give Black people in America credit for is Black people in America have taught the world real, true Christian principles of really loving your neighbor. You might not love niggas, but you love everybody else. You might not love yourself, but you love everybody else. But practicing Christian principles, especially the real thing about what Christ taught about loving your neighbor and treating other people the way you want to be treated. Every white person could come to the cookout. Justin Bieber can kick it. Every white person can kick it around niggas. It's all good, right? It's all good. You slap a nigga in his face, he turn the other cheek, you get sprayed down. Those were the living embodiment of Christian principles. No one else lived it but the Black American. The Black American has taught the rest of the world the gospel. Now that's facts. At their own expense, though. At their own expense, though. You feel me? You feel me?
You could wait.
That's, you know, I'm hearing a playback. Okay, I was hearing my voice for a second. I think Black people should get an award for their religiosity, because it gave people that were nobodies in their country protection. Now they fall under something when they come to America to be treated for the first time in their life as an equal with the dominant society, because it's not like that in China. It's not like that in India. It's not like that in the rest of the world. But through the Black sacrifice, nobodies, forgotten people, underrepresented people from around the world could come here and be something because of the Black sacrifice. So niggas need an award for that, but you're never going to get it. So it is what it is, but we definitely have to mention it when it comes to ain't no Christian like the Black American, period. We have redefined it. We have gave it meaning. Black pastors have bodied the narrative of Jesus Christ, mixing pimp game with street talk, with prison ideology, with hip hop. Nobody does it better.
Nobody whipped it like the
nobody. No, facts. But it is also killing us, though. It's killing the confidence, because right now the Black church, the leadership, the Christian leadership, 90% of Blacks in America are Christian, Baptist, Southern Baptist, AME, Pentecostal, right? And they have no leadership. And those in the conscious community have completely turned their back on the Black church. So now they look at the people that's Christian as sheep, as dumb, but those two worlds are joined at the hip. You can't leave each other. You are deeply connected with each other because your grandmama was Christian, right? So right now, the people need confidence. What's that?
Hence the fact we had to make Christ conscious. Hence the fact we had to make Christ consciousness. Mm-hmm. That was the bridge for that. Because I'm like, yo, everybody nana listen to gospel. So if hip hop was an expression that you're saying, yo, I'm squeezing a sponge for whatever I was exposed to, that's how you got the remix, and that's how you got all the rest of the shit from the 70s. You can't tell me that you wasn't absorbing gospel. So where's that expression? You never squeezed your sponge out. It never dripped out.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of us taking that particular vibration and speaking to it. You know what I mean? But it's the way that we actually opened up our soul. You know what I mean? It's what made fucking Jesus real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You like if a woman can pull that hair and then they got the organs behind them, you like, that's a testimonial. Where's that coming from? She must really motherfucking wholeheartedly believe in what she's talking about. Because you can feel it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it did something for the world, especially during the time of healing, because like you said, the expression of compassion at a time when there was so much pressure on us as a people, these people were still able to find the truest expression of love in the midst of it all. And you very rarely, regardless of what they was going through, you never heard the hate come out in their music. Think about that. Right? You heard the pain, but you never heard the hate. Why? Because they was not devoid of solutions. Right? Hate comes with frustration. It's not too much that I can do other than be frustrated. You know what I mean? You're not solution based. Right? Because that shit wouldn't be hate, it would be inspiration. Right? Bill Gates is inspired. You're like, shit, I got this bag. I know what I'm here to do. I'm getting to it. It's not so much hate, it's a mandate. He's like, I'm here to fill this agenda. And I'm carrying it out. They got a picture of him with a young African girl, and he's administering some form of medication to her. And I could just look at him and pick up on that energy, and I know exactly, you know, it's you know, it would be unfortunate to the world that comes under that level of gullibility to equate somebody's riches with the sanctity of their soul. You know what I'm saying? And he got put in that position because a lot of people have been hurt, abused, murdered, traumatized, and you know, consumed by the veracity of his motherfucking agenda. And there's a lot more that's, you know, unfortunately gonna have to feel that bite. But you know, he got that look of a weird determination. And I'm like, how do you battle something like that when you're not twice as determined to confront it or exceed it? You know what I'm saying? They don't go to sleep and they don't take breaks. Okay. You know, Christianity sets people up to tap in once a week. And that's enough. You take one spin around the block and you don't got to do no laps.
I'm gonna say this. When we talk to each other, there are people that are really focused on how we look, right? They'll make comments about that or something like that, right? So what that tells me is people have a lot of free time, right? When I was just talking about the Black church at a certain time period, these people, the pulse of the atmosphere, the environment was squeezing them so hard, they had to have a laser focus, right? I'm gonna say something. It's gonna sound, fuck it. For real, Black people ain't oppressed enough right now. there could be no shade room if niggas was really getting squeezed right now. Niggas is democratic. Life is gravy. You ain't really going through it. Nigga might get clipped by the police here and there, shit like that. But on a day-to-day, the most of the bullshit that happens to a person is from their own choices, right? So niggas ain't impressed enough. That's what's different between you and the people that you call ancestors. They didn't have time for fuck shit. They didn't have time to.
They had a little right.
They had to be laser focused. Now, when we look at foreigners that come to this country, see, we don't do a good job of studying global politics. Okay, so we don't know the day-to-day what it looks like in China. We don't know what a communist country is and how it functions and how it works. We don't know totalitarian forms of government. We think that everybody has free speech. We think that every country has a right to bear arms, right? We think that all prisons around the world, you get 3 hots in a cot. We think everywhere in the world you need a warrant to enter someone's crib. That's not like that. That's American shit. So when a person that is from a totalitarian is under totalitarian rule, and they get the opportunity to come to America, and they see how gravy it is, a man and a woman could come with an ideal, and if you focus on that ideal, you can grow it and scale it and be whatever the hell you want to be, right? Yeah, is it bullshit happened in America? Of course. It's a numbers game. Eventually some bullshit is going to happen, but on an average, niggas is not oppressed enough, right? So the focus that Black America needs is not really going to come until it gets a little bit harder. Right now, it's too democratic. Niggas can afford to be lazy. You could not afford to be lazy in 1910. You would not eat. Okay?
It's a fact.
So those excellent pressure creates diamonds, yo.
Yeah. If you have an option to be on or off, you're not feeling the pressure, right? Because everyone who understands what transformation and change takes, they could equate it to when you in the gym on that last set, but you still got 2 more to go, and you got to find a fucking weight, because there's no way that you can put that weight down. You're like, this got to come from somewhere, and you find it. That's pressure. That's how you grow. When you break through your threshold, that's how you grow. So if you're doing nothing to challenge that threshold, there's no possible way that you are on. Because an environment like this is when you're supposed to be preparing yourself for a trajectory that takes you to a place of your wildest dreams, the dreams of which you concocted during these times of self-reflection, coming up with your master plan. So if you fail to do that, and then if the second wave comes around and it's a solar flare this summer, and then the internet goes out, this is the dry run. The wet run is when the grid goes down, right? And it's just you in the darkness. And under the cover of darkness, people are going to be amazed at the evil that men do. So that's a whole nother reality. Because of the casted illusion, people fail to see what's really around them in terms of the appetite of people who, would not mind finishing the job long undone. And then it becomes, the survival of the fittest, because what has already been explained to me by brother of mine, he has a hazmat license, so the government hired him to do some work, and they had to go to New Orleans, and they're doing extractions from nursery homes and people's homes, and they're saying this is already worse than Katrina. These numbers are being underreported because they don't even have an idea of how many people on the outskirts or in their own personal space are dying, and nothing is being reported. You feel me? There's a culling of the weak taking place, right? There's a shaving of the fat, pun intended. You know, the numbers that are coming up are speaking specifically to the people who nature was a consumer would be considered weak. And no disrespect to anyone who has lost anyone in this pandemic. I'm not saying that's the overarching consensus, because a lot of people are also being killed by ventilators, and a lot of people are being sabotaged by faulty tests and being misdiagnosed. In medical institutions in times of peace are historically known to have record amounts of medical malfunction murders. Numbers, Gary Knowles said number about 400,000 a year that go unreported.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine in a situation where there's a lot of activity and the care has been prioritized for a group of people, whether them hospitals is filled or they empty. Because like Ross Ben said, this 2020 is not about either or, it's quantum, it's both. So there's hospitals that are full and there's hospitals that are empty. There's people that are dying and there's people that are surviving. There's people who got it and there's people who don't. And it's almost like a tale of two worlds, but those worlds become fractal and it's multiple worlds. Imagine the stories that come out of this time period.
You know why niggas want to party and bullshit? Because we feel like we've been through enough. Right? Let me tell you guys something.
Yeah.
You haven't suffered longer than white people.
Look.
Let me say this, Blue. You niggas haven't suffered longer than white folks. What does that mean? You know what their oppressor is? Time. Time. They want to be here forever. Historically, indigenous people did not. Right? We always had a narrative for the afterlife. That was our resting place. The stars. The white man
holding on to this shit.
The white man wants to live forever. So if you want to know what's driving Bill Gates, it's time. How much can he get done on this planet, whether it's diabolical or inspirational? It doesn't matter. Time, right? Look at what Black people are contributing to the internet. A lot of party and bullshit. Why? No concept of time. Niggas don't care about getting old. Crackers do. Right? It's the European that is trying to cook up new limbs, Botox, to change their features, to change their anatomy. Why? So they can crack the code of death.
Right.
You ain't suffer longer than white people. They've been in war with the environment.
Let's speak on Let's speak on what is the genetic psychology of a gene that is recessive versus a gene that's dominant. A gene that's dominant has no concept or fear of death because of the continuity that it has never known a time when it has been not, right? But they said it, time, because of the concept of time, it also is up against the process of entropy. So there will come a time when this shit slows down and starts breaking down. And many people who have a metaphysical lens can identify just based on where the cosmos is at. The cosmos is going through a process of entropy. So the person on this planet who represents the cosmos, he's experiencing it through his vessel as well. So we're seeing this first time ever falling out of time concept when we are coming into an alignment with time conjunctions. This year is going to see 4 conjunctions in particular, and the last 2, the one is coming on November 13th, a day before the last day of our 44th birthday, and A. Rashid's born day, and then on December 21st, 2020, the real 2012. These are time conjunctions where these alignments are 5,000 year alignments and shit like that. So these are all about time cycles. The Mayans was the curators and the caretakers of information left by the Olmec, who was our ancestors. This entire experience over here was about timing, right? But it also was about an understanding and a cultivation, like you said, an ascension protocol where we want to go amongst the stars, right? the fountain said that the garden was right in South America, right? And whether it is or it's not, that's where the lungs of this planet is at. The lungs of the planet got set on fire, and then the people's lungs collapsed on this planet. Is there no connection or correlation? Right? And the lungs got set on fire, and the people's lungs now was collapsing because of what? Coronavirus. Right? And that corona we represent that as that solar entity, that solar deity, that judgment by fire. Now, look, I think got the articles that came out and saying that there's children in the Amazon tribes in the jungles catching COVID-19. They more socially distanced than a little bit. Like, how you explain that shit?
I don't know. I don't know. What do you think about that? Yo, you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I don't.
What I think about it, I think that what we are looking at, this shit is something more like what we seen in Bird Box. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It's a spirit, because the correlation to it being traveling and airborne and getting in the lungs, right? It's about breathing. What's the root word for breath? But spirit, espirito. So this is spiritual. You know what I'm saying? It's spiritual as much as it's man-made, because the thing about this technological evolution that's taking place is that they are looking to merge artificial intelligence, which is consciousness, with biogenetics, which is viruses and things of that nature, right? That's the template or the mandate of what the fourth industrial revolution is about, which is really the fifth industrial revolution, because they don't count slavery as an industrial revolution. And we know that that's the foundation that the economic engine was built off of. So the merger between cybergenetics and biogenetics, you know what I'm saying? That's not necessarily something that we can get around at this particular point. But the challenge of that, again, gives the rise to industry, because you can create a solution-based climate, a solution-based business in this particular climate, and still, you know, you can run a victory lap. Like, you know what I mean?
Now,
so
the merging with robots, why? Time. So to improve on the gene, because you're in conflict with the sun. You're in conflict with the forces of nature. So
right. That's the expression, right? They are the fullness of the expression of the cellular recessive gene. So the fullness of that recessive gene is going to grow into an entity that's going to be counteractive and you know what I'm saying, and counter to that which seeks to kill it, right, or limit its time. It does not want to stop. It still has things to do.
Yeah, time.
Right. This is what they told you in the Matrix with the Sentinel.
If Black people around the world openly embrace death, you could get the system to change.
It's a fact.
If you just went into a full-scale anarchy, I mean, really, like, I don't care. I'm not gonna kill me. You cannot have power over somebody if they don't fear death. So the roles have reversed. Black people are scared as shit to die. So, and if you
Black people are scared of blackness.
So
right. Let's go even more. Say if they say that if black means death, right? And the thing that Sun Ra said, that he said the concept of the dark side or death or the unknown is what always had crackers in check, but they was able to reverse the curse, and now the very people who are synonymous with that badge, with that spookiness, they're not spooky no more. They actually spooked up the thing that made them spooky.
White people are not scared to die. They're scared to live. Okay. So they're afraid to be alive. This is the reason why things are the way it is. and when you come from a period of a harsh environment, it makes you have to keep problem solving and create new gadgets, right? You create one car, you got to get the next shit and the next shit and the next shit and the next phone and the next phone and the next phone. Okay, this is very exhausting, right? So you mentioned AI, and I'm gonna swing it back to the Black church because that's our root. What we have here is man times man times man. The original man on this planet is not skin, it's force and energy. And skin came through evolution of the environment, a nervous system, bones, things like that. Man's true nature is light. Light. Breath. It's not skin. That came later. Okay. So then man creates man, right? And then now you're creating another one. So it's mine times mine times mine. Now the European is continuing with the creation of something else to what? Improve the flaw that it sees in itself, because the human meat suit comes with anger, comes with fear. Now, evolutionary biologists suggest fear is the reason why the species can live, because you hear a ruffling in the feathers and your antennas go up and you got to run, right? So there are times when fear comes in handy, okay? So, but also it's a flaw. Right. Compassion, empathy is a flaw in terms of moving forward. So the next wave is going to be task driven, okay? Where you're not going to have feelings, yo, and it's going to be based on a mission and data, okay? Task driven, right? So it's on, you see where it's going, the way someone can run a pipeline through a country, kill 1,000 people, but the big picture is, you know what, I'm gonna supply oil to 300 million people, right? The next wave, the entity won't even think that. It'll be task driven, kind of like the Terminator. It does not matter what needs to happen, only the mission. Now,
only the mission. Now, yeah, because of time.
It has no concept of time, right? It's
right, just time. Not now. Let me just use for this as an example. They are exasperating and speeding up time, saying we have to find a cure, we have to find a vaccine. Look, we're gonna throw this out the window, we're gonna throw that out the window, we're gonna throw that out the window. This has to be done. You feel me? So with that whole concept of them speeding up and now altering time because they're utilizing it, you know, for a vehicle. Shit, let me put something in the passenger seat since it's headed in that direction. That's where it's going anyway. Let me hatch this U-Haul to the back. And now everybody got their agenda tacked in on it because time is a marker. And when the clock hit 2020, that signals something, especially like I said, with these coming conjunctions. This is the very energy that will support their authority being challenged by the people. But the people are running out of time.
So look, it's funny. The Black church, old blacks were so industrious because they weren't scared to die. They wanted to meet Jesus. That was the root of why they were doing what they were doing. So they didn't care. Kill me, right? Now the new age black, you can bang on the Black church all you want, but you don't get more done than those people. So who's the more productive human? You might not believe Jesus. You might know Jesus is Horus. You might do all the new age shit, right? But in 3 years, those people get done what it takes you 12, right? During the civil rights movement, nobody rode the bus. Nobody. Now, these are Jesus people now, right? Everybody was on the same page. And their driving force was their belief in their deity.
Facts.
Right? So you need a hardwired belief. Now, what I'm saying is the black church ain't going nowhere. And y'all can't do nothing without the black church. So what would be smart is for the conscious people to infiltrate the black church and bring your awareness there and get in clergy and re-educate the people. Kind of like Spook who sat by the door. But that strategy, and niggas don't want that. So moving on to the news.
Family, subscribe to Netflix.com, Netflix.com. We are providing you with the vehicle and the blueprint. If you are in the church or you have family in the church and we are coming out of the quarantine, you know, you can arrange for us to come and perform in your church and to show Netflix. There's a movie that we have called Christ Consciousness. This would be a wonderful opportunity for you to screen the movie and have a conversation in real time with the congregants about the questions that this hip hop musical, if you want, right? What we call a nigga spiritual, right? These interesting questions and conundrums that are raised in this project, they can serve as conversation pieces, you know? But there's a way, like I said, especially if you learn a tongue in which to interpret the times that are going on right now and going to the book, because this is what churches are not doing. They're not speaking about what's going on right now in correlation to their scripture. They're not preparing their congregants. They're not making house visits. They don't have, data files with emails in them and shit. They don't got an email list. They can't hit people up with the daily word. The tongue is dead. Church been closed for some time now. Where do people getting their hope? Where they getting their strength? Where they getting their dose from? But they might even be saving up. You know what I'm saying? The church could have, as a 501c3, it could have procured food for these people and had food drives and things of that nature. But the church is not seemed to have served as an institution during a situation like this. Like our grandparents knew the church in their days. That church was really community. Because like you said, people were making sacrifices and they utilized the militant energy of what they were extracting from Jesus at that time to say, look, I ain't scared to die. My Lord and Savior took the cross. Shit, that's what this is all about. He made the ultimate sacrifice. If we want to be if you want to be Christ-like, you got to be on the cross ultimately. So these people didn't see that as a challenge. They saw it as a welcome. Martin used to gladly go to jail, they said. You know what I'm talking about? And he knew that his life could be threatened under those conditions. Like we said, like, you know, a nigga having a Rolls Royce and being scared to drive through a rich neighborhood because he might be stopped by the police is one thing, right? But having to support your family, push your career, and maintain the integrity and the dignity of the quote unquote race that you belong to, when you had to drive through the back roads of the South on the Chitlin circuit to go and perform in towns where you know they had sundown rules and they was stringing niggas up on trees, but that's where the juke joint was at. So you had to go there and get that bag. The shit was chicken scratch, but it was what was needed to push your career. And the next thing you know, you were Ray Charles or James Brown. And these are all of the pressurized conditions in which you had to prove to yourself that you was really about that life. And what was driving your life? Your passion for your craft, your willingness to succeed, the fact that you had a vision and you was unwilling to give it up, even in the face of death. That's the shit that cracks the code. That's the shit that makes the motherfucking heavens come down to the earth to come to your show to hear you sing. That's that energy that what's the sister's name they said? What's the sister's name that y'all seen the movie I was just talking about?
The Clark sisters?
Yeah, that's that energy that their mama had in her. You understand? She had the conviction of motherfucking Christ in her. You couldn't tell her that anything was impossible, right? Because she had such a edified example of that shit to reach to. You understand? Those people, I'm not saying, you know, I understand the dynamics of that program and how it can go awry, but I also understand the dynamics of that program if properly utilized. It can make somebody into a diamond. You feel me? It's a different type of strength that these people possess. when they're really in it. When they're really in it and they're possessed by that particular energy, they get a lot of things done. You feel me? So it would tell me that we need something that's equal to that, that's a counterpart to that. And that vector of energy is too strong to just acquiesce and just walk away, to be like, yo, we're just gonna leave that there and think and hope that that shit is gonna reset itself. It's like, no. The reason why it's in shambles is because you have not fought for the position to establish people an identity in that religion that looks just like them. Because it's not just the Jesus figure himself, it's his mama. That's the key to it. You can spend all of your energy trying to prove to people that there's a black Jesus, but until you change the iconography and the imagery, right, of his mama, you can never break that spell, because she's bigger than Jesus around the world. Virgin Mary is a rock star. And she's uncontested. Because every time that you hear Madonna, you think about an Italian girl from Brooklyn. You would never think about the black woman. You haven't put in enough work to replace the stigma of what they have altered that word to mean. So we've never established the presence in the iconography or the face or the look of what Jesus' mama looked like. Stop telling people that he's black if you don't present him with his mama. Okay? Let me drop this ball.
Go ahead.
That was definitely one, you know what I'm saying? That gotta keep that in mind. Because now we're talking, you know, if we're talking metaphysics, that's conscious, unconscious. That's seen and unseen. You know what I'm saying? The conscious is the masculine principle. It's the sun, right? But it's a Ma son. He's the builder. He is given the passion that's instilled in him by mama, who tells him initially, like you were saying last week, get out there, young son. You could build that shit. You can do it. You my son. You the one. He's just in the sandbox. But he'll never forget that conversation.
Yeah, because it's too much debating, not enough relating, right? Too much debate, not enough relate, right? We'll look at the word believe and be like, nah, see, it's be, lie, Eve. All right, cool. Once I accept that, what's the call to action? See, belief gives you call to action. Now, I always say it does not matter what's true and what's not. It really don't. It really doesn't, right? It doesn't matter that they just created Israel in 1948. It don't matter.
It don't matter.
It does not matter. It matters what you believe.
Right.
Right? So
what's going on? Lie, and it exists.
It does not matter.
It flourish, right? And it's spilled name in the blood. They spill blood in the name of. So is it not real if blood has been spilled in the name of it? Because I tell people all the time, I know more niggas who jack their lives up pretending to be Tony Montana than anything else that I can identify. That was a real person in their life. Their brain, through neurocinematics, can't tell the difference anyway.
It's a level of schizophrenia, but we can psych our brain out to believe whatever we want to believe. And when we put action behind it, it's real. Who can tell us it's not? The new blacks don't believe in anything. Look, bro, we've been on quarantine for 1 month. Look at the contribution from blacks to the internet. It's nothing but dancing. It's nothing but this challenge, nothing but that challenge. Shout out to the people that have small channels and you might not know who they are, that go in another direction. But for the most part, pop culture is driving Black America, and there's no beliefs. What do you believe in? Right? Because look at the behavior, look at the contribution, look what people is on. Now you're adding fear, right? Oh, now you don't want to go outside. Now, and look, this is how crafty the media is. So the whites that are going outside with their guns, all the media has to do is tell the left that those are racist. Oh, no, those are crazy white people, right? That's a trick that they do, right? Conservative whites that are real constitutional and that don't deal with, we always think someone else is racist that don't accept fuck shit from us. If you don't accept fuck shit from our culture, you're racist. And we expect everybody to think how we think. You're supposed to like all blacks. I don't like all blacks. Why would someone else? I don't like all people. What the fuck? That's against my self-preservation to like everybody and love everybody. That's tactically, that's dumb, right? So I wanna tell the people something, because we're talking about Bill Gates and what his oppressor is, which is time. So he's always on a mission to do. Okay, he's not satisfied by money. He's a race against time, because he's withering away and he hasn't cracked the death code yet. So Bill Gates is a populist, and he studies a gentleman by the name of Thomas Robert Malthus. And Thomas Robert Malthus wrote an essay on population control in 1798.
Dang.
This is a free book. The essay on the principle of population. Right? You need to check that out, because the concept of population control is very old. And when you actually read it, population control goes with economy, right? That the population burst does not support the means of production.
Right. You only got enough for who you can feed, right? Especially now.
We really think that we just should have babies just because we're in love. Now, it's like inflation. The more, I'm going to put it on the books. I want all the smoke. The more meaningless children we have, the more the value of the species goes down. We have too much retardation in our group. And because of love and light, we think everyone can be fixed. Right? Do you know the Jews in America is a minority group? They're less than 10 million. So you don't need a lot of numbers to make shit crack. When you look at what Hitler was trying to do, improve his species, England kicked all of its bottom class criminals out, sent them to Australia, sent them to, we would never do that.
It flushed the toilet with them.
We would never do that.
Yeah, we don't have the conviction to.
Right? There's going to come a time in this community, I don't know when, where people are going to have to look at each other and make some real hardcore executive decisions about what the future look like. Because times what it is right now by 100 years, what do you have? Let's be honest. I'm being real. I don't deal with love and light. And I always say, if I'm part of the problem, get me out of here too. I ain't no different. If I ain't putting on, if I ain't moving forward, what the fuck? For the big picture, right? So Bill Gates now, and we see that this is a very determined person. So they will go to the ends of the earth. To
and
battle.
Right. And they have the very thing that we equate with getting shit done, right? Or completion, which is the bag. You got a lot of that. So if he has that momentum on his marathon to get to his victory lap, and you haven't even decided whether you're going to come out the starter box yet to run your own race, who's going to be favored, you know what I'm saying, in that particular situation, as opposed to if this thing is actually a race, what would it look like?
Let me say this too. It's funny, because those that think population control, you know, based on the literature, it has nothing to do with them liking you or not. In the literature, they believe they're doing you a favor to ease your misery. That's the same thing Thanos said. This is the highest form of mercy I can do for you, because you ain't on shit and you're producing children that's going to suffer. You're going to live a life of suffering. So let me do you a favor and your misery, right? You in the hood, right? You're
Thanos
oppressed,
was a
right?
eugenicist. I said Thanos was a eugenicist for real.
Yep. Right. So what I'm just saying though.
No, he said he had a universal mandate, right, to halve its population to lessen the strain on the galaxy, because he had to balance the scale. That was maintenance. And the thing about the scale balancer and the connection and correlation to Anubis is that, once again, everybody doesn't want to do that job, right? But even the story of the creation of the European, there's a lot of different stories and variations of the story to go around. But in an elder from one of my traditional systems, he told me that the story is told in his system is that in certain villages, the albinos that were born in those villages, or those who were genetically quote unquote defected, they brought them out and they killed them, right? They didn't have the means or the resources to nurture something that they considered would not be a sound contribution to their community or their tribe. That would be uh, a necessary use of resources, right? And a stress on what it is that they have available for themselves as well. And all of this is dependent upon survival. Well, they telling the story of some albinos who had escaped that particular massacre because the women had the compassion, the mothers, so they saved their children. And these are the people that would later on, migrate into the caves and come, progress to become Caucasians. And due to that particular arrangement, they always had a gripe for what was considered a quote unquote father, because they also have felt, in their psychology, based on what they're templated by, they're felt by the horrors. They're reminded of the horrors of Kronos, the father of time who eats his children. So they also were put in those situations in climates in which defection and recessiveness or weakness, it could not be coddled because they couldn't afford to. Food was scarce.
A. Rashid mentions this a lot about the Black American having a less than 150-year reading history.
Mm-hmm.
So our reactions and our thinking mechanisms is all emotional driven. We deal with a lot of fantasy. We talk from a perspective of what we like the world to be. It should. That's not fair. This is right, right? Nature don't care about none of that shit, right? So everybody's on the same page that Bill Gates is trying to control the population. Now, what time do you think he goes to sleep? And how many hours a day do you think he puts in to make that happen? Whether you like it or not. So he's determined to make that happen. If you don't agree, are you willing to put in the same time that he's putting in to make it not happen? Are you willing to put in the same time to make the species better? Right? Because I don't see it. I'm for real. I don't know what Mexicans is doing. I don't know what Indians is doing. I know what Black America is doing. And it's some outliers, right? That's exceptional. But for the most part, most meaning over 50, there's a little bit of truth in that talented temp shit that W.E.B. Du Bois was talking about. It's a little bit. And I gotta be honest about that.
Oh man.
Right? If your greatest stars
Right.
only can provide dance for you in a time of uncertainty, entertainment, that says a lot. That says a lot, right? Now, these are people with information.
That's an exclamation point. You know what I'm saying? You got to freeze that one in time.
That says a lot, yo. That Robert Kiyosaki is talking about what? Finance. Right? He's talking about finance. I just watched the Out of the Shadows documentary. Very well put together, and they cooked that shit up quick. Right? So I'm seeing other people's contributions when I'm seeing
romantic.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really want to see no more music battles. Only if you mix it up. Now, what I would like to see is people like Babyface, people like Teddy Riley, go back and forth talking about the business of music. And then play some songs. So cut it up. You know what I'm saying? Half an hour, talk about the business.
Yeah, they got these youngsters captivated now in the crib on the screens. This is a perfect time to teach them about independence, because with that game, they could have started their digital companies with independent and been on their way, you know what I mean, when this shit come out of quarantine, doing shows and running it up. But now they're going to be slaves to these labels, getting out, you know, they probably going to put them in a fucking sweatshop to crank out mad material. And the albums that dropped last weekend, they ain't really stick. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like people don't want to hear that shit. They're not there for it. It's not going to hit the same. The machine really needs to be polished. If it does not have the wizard to go along with it in the clubs, because a lot of this music is club driven. You got to be in the car, you got to be in the club, and the radio has to be able to program you. They didn't make any concessions for you not being able to move around and get hit by them signals. So the shit don't hit, it don't stick the same, because people can't make their own minds up. They got to be told what's hot. You know, so
I don't want to see Diddy dance. He's danced. Diddy Fresh, he's a legend. But I don't want to see him dance. Now, why do I not want to see his dance? Because he ain't a one-trick pony. Right? He's a walking library.
Right.
He's a walking.
He done it all.
Right? And the thing about it is Think and Grow Rich is a business standard in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's the standard, right? If you are an entrepreneur, if you're trying to get rich, Think and Grow Rich is your base. What's the Black American base?
Yeah, I mean,
right?
That book remains to be remains to be written, if you will.
Right. So
that's a wonderful business opportunity to come up with that, because it's needed. But we don't have. Okay, for Black people, it's 48 laws of power. They adopted that shit.
Not really. Not really.
Think it's the 10 Crack Commandments, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Not facts.
Not for real. Not the.
You don't even follow that.
Not the 48 laws. Niggas read the 48 laws for entertainment purposes. Right? I don't know if someone is read that shit. They move a certain type of way. I can feel them in the room. Like, this person just looks. See, I don't never go off how a person looks. That's how they look. Right? We're image culture. We're about optics. Right? If it look a certain type of way, we judge the value based on that. But the value is inside of the thing, inside of the mind, inside of the body, right? Inside of the mouth, the tongue. If Black America truly adapted the 48 laws, you would never get shot by a cop, because you would be the police force. You would never talk about the government, because you would breed your children in the government. Everything you have an issue with, you would have a counter for that.
You have a counter, a solution for it. You throw some bread at it. You know, you'd have bought you some politicians by now. You'd have came up with some form of solution-based approach, rather than just opting out to do nothing and then be forgetful and amnesia. Like, because at a time like this, people are literally relying on the same people who 2 years ago were shooting them in the back. And they seem to be okay with that.
The 40 Years of Laws is a book written by a dude that wasn't doing nothing with his life until 35 years old.
Yeah.
And all he did was study people's rise to power. Right? And it's not many examples of blacks in there. It's a lot of examples of Europe, where the chessboard is very, 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 very different. Right? We have an issue with thinking diabolically to get to our means. And that's the difference between the rest of the world and Black America. Black America has an issue with a reptilian approach. Now, if you don't want power, then whatever happens to you, don't complain. But you don't get it both ways. You don't get to be a king and a victim at the same time.
And you can't be a victor and a victim.
Right? So what are you willing to do to thrust your bloodline forward? What are you willing to do? How are you willing to mate? What are you willing to talk to your children about? What are you willing to put in him to accomplish your means? Right? And if one of your child has a handicap, are you willing to have another one to produce an aim? Because what Rothschild trained his sons, they all went and did it. Right? They only used their mind.
They carried it out.
Right? So look, Pete, Rothschild had a fear of time in the world. So what they wanted to do was control the world as much as possible, because they know if you don't, the world is going to control you. Nature is going to control you, right? And that's the interesting thing and the power of man, that man can take destiny in his own hands and say, you know what, I'm going to control the weather. How about that? I'm going to control the rain. How about that? Really mastering the planet to the point where for the earth to get rid of man, the earth has to evolve its consciousness, because man got a counter for that. The earth got to step his game up. Can't just do regular hurricanes. You got to upgrade them earthquakes, B. You got to upgrade them typhoons, B, because man got a counter for that. Right? The world push and man gonna push back. Man is no longer a victim to nature. Right? Got to answer for that.
Conquered it in the West, right?
Got to answer for that. Oh, diseases? Huh, we got to answer for that. You know, smallpox is not a thing, fam. Polio is not a thing.
But malaria is.
Malaria is not a right. So what am I saying? The New World. And why did I link it with the Black church? Only because I seen the productivity of the Black collective when they was in church, and I see their productivity without church. The thing about Kemet and a lot of that information and the Black nationalism is great, but the call to actions are weak. The consistency is weak. You're not convicted. You want to debate, right? A lot of the information in the new age that Black America has learned is just so to debate with your family and white people. We just want to say, I told you so, right? We just want to prove that those that built the pyramids was Black, and that's that. And leave it there. Right?
They were talking about building another one, right?
Right. But
if that's the case. But
we have to go. We got to go beyond glamour.
Right? Yeah, that's basic.
You know what I'm saying? We got to go beyond glamour and go into activity. Right? But again, everybody not gonna go. And that's the thing. And I think that's the one thing that many Black people are gonna have to accept. You're gonna have to turn we into me. Right? You're gonna have to flip that M that W upside down and turn it to an M, because everybody ain't gonna go. We spend too much time. We spend too much time on the Black trash. Top tier white folks don't spend that much time on redneck whites. only for political strategy.
For political strategies, right? What you're seeing
right now. The coal miners, Appalachian whites, you know what I'm saying? The whites in Mississippi and Alabama. Trump only used them for a political strategy. No one cares about no one cares about people on the bottom, fam.
They're not invited to Mar-a-Lago, right?
You know what I mean? So I think a smart approach for the new world, because the Black church already has legs, I think those that are conscious and militant and, you know African spirituality and crystals, gems, holistic healing, I think you need to infiltrate the Black church and create a 3-5 year plan, 10-year plan, to where now you have access to the satellites, because the gatekeepers in Black America are Christian, and you ain't about to get nothing done if you do not know how to finesse. You have to finesse, right? Do you think Europeans just went into Africa and punched niggas in the face? Nah, that took years. It took years, yo. Years of breeding, years of finessing, years of seeming docile.
Let me ask you this, man. What would you look like as a president?
I would have zero tolerance for fuck shit. So, number one, you have a baby with a woman, you stuck with her. Y'all gotta figure that out. Ain't no leaving. You get it's a fine.
Even at the detriment of the child, or they just gotta hold that?
No. No, if there are behaviors, unhealthy behaviors of the people, then that's different. But you want to have a system in place to prepare people for being parents, because being a mother and a father is a science. So I would make sure before you
parenting institutions.
Huh?
You would have parenting schools, parenting institutions.
Totally, but you would have to have a skill set that matches the market. You would have to go through a qualification to have a child. You know, you're just not gonna have a child just because you can. Now, these are things that China put in place. China was not what it was before. It had a thing called the Great Leap Forward, where the communists started burning Chinese books, getting rid of old history. They burnt their own history, right? For the Great Leap Forward. China is moving forward with a determination of earthly domination and galactic domination. They are not playing, right? So one thing, a man and a woman wouldn't be able to have a child without a skill. That's number one. And if you guys have a baby together, you gotta finish the job, right? We're not gonna, because love is fickle. So you're not gonna have a baby with a woman because you love her, because on Friday you might hate her, right? So we're not gonna take that. Okay, and I would eliminate aspects of democracy, right? You have to be something. You have to do something. I would also take an Idi Amin approach, right? I would destroy any Black press that writes negative things about the regime. I would engage in full-scale propaganda, because my approach is the elevation of the species domination, right? So I would when you turn 18, just like in Israel, you have to serve in the military. You have to know how to bust hammers. You have to know how to combat, right? And I would limit who the artists are. Everybody, I will put federal committees in charge to see who's putting out what content, and you would have to go through them first. Everybody just couldn't drop an album. You just couldn't be a rapper.
So you pretty much are dealing with it. I mean, because this is the climate for reset. So you're talking about your idea for your quote unquote new America will deal with a species reset?
Full scale. Full scale.
I mean, you know,
I would destroy the black handicap. I would look at other measures of how societies have came up, and I would have a full scale approach to that shit. It's totally hands on. You're gonna get the program, or you getting up out of here. I'm shipping all the trash out the country.
man, if Trump listening to this, he like, I got some more pointers and tips. I mean, but yeah, I mean, because that's the flip side. If we saw that in any other body or any other form, you know, people would be screaming Hitler 2.0. You know what I'm saying? Like if Trump had those particular policies in place, you know, that would be considered like, God damn it, the time's a Terminator. And then we do this plug. We got Sophia Stewart is returning back to Know the Ledge Radio tomorrow. We will have the Mother Matrix in the building. All right. And, you know, her narrative speaks of a very dystopian period. And she was not, even though it was considered quote unquote fiction, she was very unapologetic about how the when you move and you shift into different dimensionalities, in order to keep pace in the race or even accelerate, you have to be able to compete or outcompete your competition. And we are in the times, like the brother said earlier, when your competition is a robot and it's mechanical and it doesn't entertain feelings. You know what I'm saying? So how do you compete in a particular situation that's, you know, potentially dystopian, and you have to make decisions for survival at a time when that survival is being challenged by things that don't give a fuck and a lot faster and stronger than you. And these particular patterns that we see repeating when one thing accelerates another, that's species terminus. We've seen this before. So, you know, the thing is, like, when we have conversations like this and you say the things that you're saying, you know, they're falling on ears that really have not yet conceived what the environment in this particular country might look like in 4 to 6 months. And it almost seems like people are waiting on a miracle to reverse things and not understanding the statistics. They said 45% of Los Angeles residents are employed. The rest of them lost their jobs. Right?
Wow.
I'll give you some statistics. Like I said, there's all kind of shit that's going on that is not really being explained or expressed to people, so they don't know the climate. Only 45% of LA residents are still employed. 50% of whites lost their jobs, 18% of Latinos, and 21% of blacks. Okay. Wow. And there's a collective of 22 million jobless claims across the US up until about 2 days ago when I got those statistics. So you're not even witnessing the full collapse of when a multiplicity of stores across the nation are not able to open their doors because the funding has already dried up and ran out. The farmers said that they are poised to take a $22 billion hit this year. And Perdue went to the White House and stood next to Donald Trump and said there's not going to be a food shortage problem. And he donated $20 billion to them, but they said they're going to take a $22 billion loss. So I know math, right? That means it's a drop in the bucket that's not going to get to the places that it needs to be, especially not quick enough when you're seeing all of these pipelines get backed up and jammed up with red tape, bureaucracy, and politics. So that's just fucking Republicans that are part of farmer states cutting more fucking checks. Everybody ran away with the mint. They pressed up 2.2. You think everybody ain't get a cut? Because they didn't even get to read the legislation. They're like, look, your fucking check is over there. Just go sit somewhere. Or it's going to be a takeoff. Look, all right, let's sign off. And then they put other things on top. So what do we do in an economy and an approaching tsunami like this? And once again, this is not beating the drums of doom and gloom. This is me telling you, just sit down, do one of these meditations, right? And project 4 to 6 months into the future in this country when, if I'm reading it, there's 22 million people that are jobless right now. 65% of Los Angeles is unemployed. And that is the center of entertainment. Entertainment died on the cross during this quarantine. When Harvey Weinstein fell and burned, he took Hollywood with him. You know what I'm saying? And then they put another nail in their coffin during the quarantine for the hit that the movies took. Then they took another nail in the coffin during the quarantine because of the streaming apparatuses that have won the race. And now they are going to receive the advertisement dollars and dry up theaters, because that is no longer going to be how are you going to ensure safety in mass gatherings. This shit is going to continue, to surface and show itself and mutate into other things. And anything that looks or feels like it is going to cause a pandemic. People are going to be jumpy forever, right? Until they become themselves, because they have to have a merger with technology in order to detect an invisible threat. To live in an environment that, think about it, they're almost terraforming this shit to be like Mars, right? So you're gonna have to have spacesuits to even be in an environment that can be potentially scorched by this increase in solar activity that's coming. It's gonna mutate the planet anyway. Then you got 5G mutating, and on top of that, then you have famine coming, which causes a level of stress factors, right, that is unprecedented. If the grid drops and people are already weakened because of the stress factors from everything else, the fact that they didn't have no food. People are starving right now in Brazil in the favelas. They're dying of starvation, right? Queen Diami, I spoke to her earlier. She gave me the global report. And I'm going to be doing Instagram Live tomorrow, interviewing a consortium of women who have vital information during this time. On Instagram, it's going to be a webathon. And one of the sisters of Queen Diami from the Congo, she said that melanated people are dying in the favelas from starvation, right? They're rioting in Africa from starvation right now. So there's this approaching wave of starvation. And, once again, not to beat any drums of doom and gloom, but close your eyes and just envision, what do you see? Where's your food source going to come from? How do you feel that you have it all secured in the bag and figured out? Right? So these things are just saying, if these visions are in your head, you take necessary steps and precaution. You prioritize money on the side to make sure that you buying yourself a generator. When you think about construction, you should think about something, a solar panel off grid that has an alternative energy source. Just in case the grid goes down, you don't want to be dependent on old America energy sources anymore. You want to prepare yourself for new America in which you can survive off of natural energy sources just in case. So this ideological reset that Black America in particular has to make, because it is going through species terminus, just like they did to the bees. The bees are the symbols of the Nesubidi. This is a changing of kingdoms and empire. Yeah, Babylon is falling, but that does not mean that the shit is not resetting. All of this was planned. We could go to the screen share, y'all, and I could show you the fucking Nassau plans right here. I got them, right? They wrote about this 20 years ago. This was all scripted, and it's played out. And it's playing out in front of us. So to think that you can counter it just by wishing it away, that's not how you do it. You're supposed to prepare yourself, and you're going to have to make ideological decisions that are very unpopular. Now, I'm not saying that everyone has to go to the extremity of what my brother is speaking on. But this is tough talk. And as he's saying, if he was in charge based on the optics and scopes of how he has to reset reality, this is what he would do. You should have a version of it yourself, or even entertain the thought that these possibilities are approaching. And if not, how and why, before you get in your feelings.
If I was the president and I was dealing with this community in particular, my only mind frame is species, right? I'm using that word. I want to replace Black people with species, right? And if a species doesn't make critical changes, because Black America is at critical mass right now. Critical mass. It's that on the bottom, right? So
yeah, let me real quick. Let me just add on something that I forgot when I was speaking on the statistics in LA. And again, for me, it's not, especially not doom and gloom, because not only, am I fulfilling my role in terms of information, to be in contact with people that are on the ground that are telling me what's really going on, but I used to live in LA. And one of the things that you take note of in LA is that there's 40-year-old people with pushers, with what's this shit called? Walkers, right? There's dialysis offices everywhere out there. The people are in a detrimental state of health in Los Angeles, and the shit happens early. There's a heavy drinking culture out there, right? The races unify on their love for alcohol and weed. This is the only time that the Black and brown see face to face, when it's dealing with the green plant. But when there's alcohol around, everybody's having a good time. This is when they get along. Think about they live, right? After motherfuckers working, they're on the drink break. That's how the shit look. But the thing that you realize, even when you in Los Angeles, melanated people in Los Angeles are fourth-class citizens in Los Angeles. Okay? First-class citizens in Los Angeles are Europeans, the second are Hispanic, the third are Asian, or more like the second are Asian and the third are Hispanic. And then they said that melanated people are fourth-class citizens in Los Angeles. So in a city with numbers that are that high, and our people already being on the bottom, and Dr. Claude Anderson repeatedly speaking about, what's the word that he uses?
Permanent underclass. I don't think we know what that means exactly. Permanent underclass means there will, okay, the best way to describe it is study India's caste system. See, my curse is that I study the world, and my information goes outside of the conscious community. I got Destruction of Black Civilization. What's that mean? I know about Amos Wilson. What does that mean? I religiously talk about Black people from this community that I think are legends. I put them, and I never disrespect them ever. But at the same time, I'm not loyal to this shit. I'm loyal to me, and I'm loyal to what works. So I'm forced to, for 3 months, I studied the Spanish Empire, right? I studied the Doctrine of Discovery. I seen how Spain upgraded its standard of living by creating outposts in Central America, right? See, the thing is, the Black American has been ripped away from competition, right? Yeah. We have this mentality of, why can't it just be peace on earth? Why can't everybody just, Rodney King shit, can't we all just get along? And other people are religiously telling you, no, we can't, right? So my outlook is not, I'm very optimistic. Even what I'm saying is an optimistic thing, because shit can change, but there's shit that you have to remove though. because Black Americans are doing shitty with freedom, personal freedom. We're doing a terrible job at that, right? Now the coronavirus, with their personal freedom, Black people are talking about their health issues with coronavirus is race related. When a banana is 19 cents, yo, you don't have to eat that. You choose to, which is fine. Do whatever you want with your personal freedom. But when it's cracking, right? Liberals always turn that thing to Blacks. And one of the ways to be an adult, you have to take accountability for your space, right? So, and you have to squeeze Black America a little bit. We're too comfy. The only time we have an issue is when we can't buy shit. Then it's a problem. Look how they're oppressing me, yo. Look what they doing to me, yo. The store owner keep following me, yo. I can spend my money where I want to. Right? We get on the same thing. You gotta like, freedom is expensive, yo.
Only time we ready to tear some shit up is when we can't buy shit. Damn, son.
Where's the lie, yo?
It's
I seen Tory Lanez in a store, and he recorded it one time. I think he was getting racially profiled in the store. And you know what his get back was? To spend like 30 racks in the store.
Seen that.
Yeah, nigga. See, we get.
They do it in Louis all the time. Oh, they was following me in here. They was acting like I'm a broke nigga. Come back and spend 20 and 30 and 40 in there. For them, they feel like that's stunting on them.
Mm-hmm. So you don't have to go through those extreme measures that I'm talking about if people just change the way they think. That's all you have to do. Change the way you think. 21 days, yo. It's mad do it yourself shit. It is very hard to it's very hard to change a habit. It's difficult. You need will. You have
to. When I spoke at the beginning of this year and I said we are heading into a golden age, in a golden era, I feel that this is the golden age that we're in right this very second. This opportunity, this pocket of time that presented itself as the ability for people to go in and really turn a rough ashlar into a smooth one. You could have conquered all 3 degrees during this time period if you was laser focused on a goal and an objective. If you developed a regimen and you push something all the way through, you can come out of this like quantum. You could come out of this, you feel me, with an ill fucking trajectory. But to squander this time and to miss and lose the opportunity that this time presents, it's almost like you're throwing away, the opportunity at goal, a golden opportunity, if you will, in this golden age. So we have to think about how wonderful this pocket in this period of time of the ability to go in. You know what I'm saying? You have to seize the day. You have to seize that ability. You have to seize the time. You cannot let this time slip through your fingers, right? You can pressure the small pocket of pressure that is represented at this time can create a diamond. It's not that long. Like he said, if you was 21 days consistent, you will be coming out of this quarantine, multifaceted like a diamond, ready to shine in all directions, right? Splendid, on your way to 1 billion or 1 trillion if you choose. Just by motherfucking staying down till you come up with the illest idea. I had a few of them. So I know they're floating around out there. Don't allow this time to slip through your fingers on account of fear. That's false evidence appearing real. You have nothing to fear but fear itself, they say. And all of that is a concept of time. Because there's nothing to fear if you know that you're timeless and there never was a time when man was not. So you have an eternal light. Like the brother said, this is going back to the metaphysics of the vision I was shown, of what the universe looked like when it was created. They showed me a glass that was about 3 times the size of let's say a fireball that's like an asteroid. The asteroid hit the ball, boom, and the shit shattered into all of these pieces. You can't even put a number in them. And it was floating like stardust through the universe. And then because of the gravitational pull of this particular planet, it pulled that dust down. That dust became initially embedded within the oceans, in that particular fragmentation or fractal of light then became an amoeba and a single cell organism. And then it grew through the process of growth and evolution and intelligent interface and interaction with that particular environment into who and what we are today. But we contain a spark of light, and that initial spark of light. And I'm telling you, I seen that. This is the vision I had on a heroic dose. Okay, you are that spark of light that are encased by the husk of flesh, right? The most dense form of matter that's slowed down to its lowest degree. And on its final whip, on its final spin is when you receive this pigment. You know what I'm saying? This is the last motherfucking covering or casing. You have to go within and find that inner light. You have to be able to close your eyes and see it. Spirit had me do something where when I got this particular revelation, I remember I was in Manhattan in a hotel. I think it was the first time I had some fire sour. Like this shit just blew my mind. Right? You know that how when you almost get like a brain freeze, your whole shit get blown back like Maxwell, like the Maxwell commercial. You like, oh. So Spirit was telling me, look, if you don't believe what I'm telling you about the fact that everybody is light first, do this experiment. Go outside, walk down the street, and acknowledge everyone that you pass by sending a light from your heart to their heart and a light from your third eye to their third eye, and communicate with them telepathically once you make the bridge and the connection. I kid you not. Now, I know I was high as a motherfucking kite, but I also know what I was observing and I was looking at as well. I was not spaced out of my mind where that wasn't the reality. The reality is when I acknowledge people's light in them, we automatically had a telepathic connection, right? And that shit could get you wild bread. Because you be like, give me $50. So you like, all of a sudden digging this shit, you like, I'm on. Look, talking about. Not talking. You heard that shit here, son? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
I'm telling you, the universe is motherfucking speaking through me and telling you that's the key to all. You have to realize primarily, right? The most ancient part of you is light particle first. You are a spark of light that is contained on a fractal of a mirror that, you know, refracts that particular light. And that mirror is part and parcel to a larger part of that glass particle that forms, if you will. This is a analogous metaphorical rendition of how you can visualize and envision the source, right? And how you get back to source. And when you see that everything has that spark in it, then you make a connection to all and everything. See the spark in all things first, and then you have a connection to it. And I just gave y'all a fucking gem about the actual interpretation of magic. Magic is the manipulation of molecules. The only way that you can manipulate a molecule is to go to the root of the molecular structure. And the molecular structure of these molecules is like particles. You roll one up, baby? Yo, whatever that shit was, son, I'm telling you, that was fucking Vine of Life. I bought. Son gave me the strain today. Nah.
Get a drum or something. Go ahead and get a drum or something. Right? That was dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know the thing about it is, there's so many approaches to the game, right? Everybody. And what you said, there's so many approaches to the game, and what you said, people can't have fear. Can't have fear. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, and you know what it is? And I'm gonna share this with you, good brother. You know, I studied myself, right? I like that 66 just popped up. I studied myself, so I had to internally come to a conclusion, a solution of what it takes to conquer fear. And I'm going to use another analogy, right? This tantamount to when you make passage in a fraternal organization. Let's take it to fraternal organizations first, because that's another thing. We're also losing because we don't have fraternal organizations and secret societies. Okay.
How about that?
In masonry, right, you have to crawl across the burning. Well, you got to walk, you got to crawl through a tight closing and capture. And that's tantamount or analogous to you passing through the king's chamber, right? So you have to lighten your load and not be fearful of constrictions of what appears to be matter, right? When it's tight on you, when that shit compresses, when the pressure's really on, you can't crack or fold. You got to keep going. So only a few make it through that tunnel. Only a few make it through those particular rituals. You know what I'm saying? Everybody don't motherfucking make it. And there's a reason for that, because of fear. And there's just different rituals, you know, that they put you through so you can conquer your fear. But on the other side of fear, you know, you unstoppable, because that's you passing through the left passage of the fourth ventricle, the way that the heart is set up on the left side. And this whole chakra system is based on you motherfucking being able to conquer the left. That's what they're talking about. You have to be able to shift through that particular left ventricle heart and open up your heart, because until you open up your heart, you can't access those upper three chakras. And not being able to open up your heart is always going to leave you susceptible to fear. Because until you conquer the heart, you can't get over fear.
Get a drummer song.
Yeah. I just, you know, I just wanted to share some truth. You know what I'm saying? Because once again, people would get rattled and they would get emotional about what it is that you said. And I want to read what I wrote on Instagram last night. And some people got in their feelings when I expressed these particular sentiments. I posted a picture of dudes from the militia who ran down on the Capitol in Pennsylvania, right? Toting them Dracos and everything else that you hear about in rap music that black people are entertained by, right? That we have time for that shit. We got a space for it, and you got room in your tape deck, and you got fucking storage on your phone for it, and you even play it around your children. But when the real shit pops up, you got every excuse not to see yourself in that particular motherfucking position, standing for something that you said that you believed in. Because all last year we heard conversations about you being so American. So what does your American look like? So this is what I wrote. I said, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. Last year, melanated men across the country was blowing a lot of smoke about being American descendants and foundational Americans, thus suggesting they were either willing to defend or die for the homeland. And mind you, this took place during the year of return, during Black America's metaphorical Jubilee year, only to come to 2020, and the record will show that when Uncle Sam blew the whistle, and Miss America, the metaphorical harlot out of the Bible, said, "Them street lights is coming on. You get your black ass in the house." The blacks not only complied, they hid in the closet and under the bed because the massa and the media invoked the boogeyman clause that has been imprinted since childhood. They only came out from under the bed to party and bullshit for club quarantine. Now, don't get me wrong. The only thing Black America has to celebrate without any blemishes is its contributions to sports and entertainment. And this was their clandestine way of contributing to the Jubilee, even though they know not what they do. They're not conscious of it. Please save the last dance and give the DJ something. Whilst the Negro was under self-imposed lockdown, listening to the latest releases on Spotify by adolescent-minded rappers boasting about their Dracos and body counts, well, Tussie sliding the Drake. People in this country who feel entitled to the title of American because of the blood they've spilled in the past and present to prove their allegiance to said homeland, decided to sound the trumpet and declare enough is enough. Once COVID became the black disease, i.e. the black plague / curse of Ham, revisited, they emerged from their homes defiant of orders of social distancing, brandishing long-arm firearms protected by the Second Amendment. It's cool to say Babylon is dying, but Amazon is hiring. And just because this shit is dying don't mean it's not primed to resurrect. The black body is not only America, it's also Babylon. Watch your word, sorcery. You see how quick they ran down on them capitals? Now imagine if the lights went out and the blacks no longer had the internet to entertain them. How could they defend the home and the homeland?
And let's be clear. Those people are not showing up with guns just to be rebellious. Why are they there? Because they feel like this is being violated. Their constitutional rights. So again, what do black people believe in? How many blacks own a Constitution of America?
Black people believe in.
We believe in, right? What do you believe in enough to go out?
Yeah.
Leave the fam, have the media say whatever they want about you. Now the thing about it is black people have a history of that by the most understudied group of black extremists in America, which is the Black Panther Party. Consciousness, woke people don't touch the Black Panthers. Why is that? It's very interesting. Everybody gets love. We love Malcolm. We love Malcolm. We love Martin. We love our intellects. No one fucks with the Black Panthers. It's very interesting.
Very.
Why? Because they had a 10-point program.
Right. 10-point program.
They had a call to action. They had a breakfast program. They were willing to rob banks to feed the people and rob drug dealers and clap at you. They're bodying police.
They was willing to clean their neighborhood up by any means necessary. And they understood that it might take a level or display, not only a display of strength, but an exercise of it as well. Right? We are in Mars. We are under Martian war energy. And the people, right, refuse to fight with anything but the concept of them doing something. That's what they want to fight with, right? But they don't want to fight with nothing else, right? They don't want to challenge nothing else. They don't want to compete with nothing else. Africa is opening up because they're kicking the Asians out. Why don't the black man even want to compete in Africa to have a conversation about that?
Because
right? We don't want to fill in no slots, no blanks, no openings, no offerings. But the baby's about to starve and people are about to get indignant with the government because the help's not coming. But right now, you know, if something can be done, we refuse to do for self. Because people will hit me and say, yo, I got family with land. But I'm like, why you not on that land right now then? Why you not putting seeds in the ground and securing that land and social distancing to the degree where you go back down south? Where it's only you and the land. We're gonna come outside in them cities and do what? Go back to work. And then they're talking about people are facing an unprecedented amount of stress because the home for work shit is not easier for some people. It's a little bit more demanding and difficult for some people. Mm-hmm. So their stresses are extra. And then they're throwing them out there saying, go back to work.
Belief, go back to that. Belief, right? The European American, regardless what anybody thinks about it, feels like they have a right to this country, right? Definitely. Because their grandfather died in World War I, World War II, the Civil War, right? There's their patriotic duty to defend this land, family, and country. The Black America, in order to move forward in this new world, you have to decide on your identity. The reason why niggas don't go to Africa with industrious mindset is because the Black American is wandering around the planet looking for a home, looking for acceptance. Someone please look at me. Someone please tell me I'm dope. Black people swear the world wants to be black. No, they don't. They just like the dancing part. Right? Oh, they want to be just like us. No, they don't. They like the entertainment act. You guys look cool. And you do. You look cool. Right? We want to do that too. But on a day to day, why would someone want to be black? What's the perks? Right? Me as a so-called black man in America, what is the perks? There's no perks. If you're telling me Jews look out for each other, damn, there's a perk to be Jewish. If you're telling me white privilege exists and white people treat each other a certain type of way, then there's a perk to be white amongst whites. When I'm around other blacks, what the fuck is the perk? If I got to convince black people to spend with me, what's the perks? If I can't leave my door open at night and I live around blacks,
it's tough.
If the only perk to being black is the way the sun hits my skin, well, I'd rather be a pale face with all the land, all the guns, all the money, all the opportunities. What the fuck?
Bro, that sun hitting the skin is important.
What's the perks? So belief, right? So the reason why you would get pushed back from a post like that is because you're talking about a people that believe in something. This is their foundation. The Constitution of the United States is their foundation. You are violating my civil liberties, and I will go to war with the state.
Right. They have a hardwired call to action, right? They have a hardwired call to action. We're looking for an external one, and it's not even coming. But what triggers our internal hardwired call to action? More pressure.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. I'm
you are quarantined with luxuries.
Yeah, it ain't tight yet.
You're comfortably quarantined. Mm-hmm. Right? What about when you're uncomfortably put in a box? Right? And those of us that have been in solitary can we can relate.
Again,
your creature comforts.
Belief. Now, when we study American history, we see what Europeans are willing to do against each other. The Revolutionary War was fought. Why? The 13 colonies felt like taxation without representation. England was taxing them, right? The money that was coming from slavery, people were sending it back to the crown. The royal family never came to America. They would just set up outposts because they thought that it was trash in the first place, right? That's why they sent their bottom half here. So what were they willing to do? The Americans decided to go to war with Britain and succeed, start their own shit. This is why the Constitution was made, right? Right to bear arms. Why? Because these people was coming from a feudalistic living where you didn't own land, didn't damn near have rights to your own wife. Not if the king said so. It was the divine right of kings, right? So the Black America really has no history in its 400 years. It has no history of going to war with itself per se. Yeah, you have tribal conflicts with gangs, but I'm talking about something like the Civil War, where the North was fighting the South, right? Or Mississippi, when Mississippi seceded from the Union. A good movie about that is called Free State of Jones, right? Where if you was a property owner in a Civil War, you didn't have to fight. They was really making it relegated to poor whites, right? But that's a history. There's history in this country of whites banging with each other, full scale banging, and it'll happen again too, right? So Black America has not done that with itself. Right? If you really have a problem with coons, whatever you call a coon, and house niggas and all that shit, prove it.
Right.
White people did it, right? What do you think Timothy McVeigh was on?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
yeah, it's a society that doesn't even have a penalty for traitors. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have a penalty for rapists.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a penalty for traitors. You feel me? So, I mean, it's of a detriment, you know, as a society that's dealing with possible species terminus, because, you know, who's gonna feed you? If the world is in conflict and you admittedly say that you have no friends, you know, who is going to feed you in a food shortage? Or what is going to compel you to unify? Because we brag about our spending power and say we have trillions of dollars, right? How do we consolidate that and prove it as power? Because we were shown just now to be somewhat powerless. What use was the spending power, right, if our people were sitting soft targets? And solutions are still not being discussed about, all right, well, what is our reset plan? You know, what do we do different to improve from the lessons learned so we are not repetitive? It's almost like it's a level of comatosis where we're like, oh, we're just on autopilot. We're going to see what happens. And they partying like, fuck.
Too much democracy, fam.
No pauses, no moments of silence, right? You was where nothing was going on. Everything is good over here. I mean, everybody was in the chat. I ain't seen no RIPs or nothing. They forgot all that shit. And look, maybe, like I said, metaphorically, because in the end we win. And when I say we, I mean those who have chosen themselves to be chosen ones. Maybe metaphorically, that's really them participating in the Jubilee and still fulfilling the mandate and keeping that energy going. Because these niggas is partying hard.
Again, belief. Way too much democracy. Yo, freedom to be autonomous, bro, is very, very difficult. To manage yourself and govern yourself and without someone telling you what to do. Right? Freedom. The thing that Black Americans died for. Freedom to make my own choices.
Right.
Now, within that is a lot of responsibility. It's the margin for error is low, but within a welfare state, the margin error is high when you make mistakes. Right? You can afford to keep fucking up and keep fucking up and keep fucking up. And in fact, it's interesting because one of the highest form of racism that we don't understand, we think nigger, and that's what we pay attention to, but the highest form of racism is non-accountability. White liberals want to ease the pain of Black people. Don't worry, we'll build your roads, we'll educate your children, we'll feed you, we'll clothe you, we'll even take on the issues of reparations and all that shit. Y'all just chill, right? So when I was reading Frederick Douglass's biography, it was so interesting because he reflected back to when he was on a plantation and how the white children had an expectation on them. The Black children didn't. So it was a problem if the white child got dirty. It was a problem if the white child didn't do chores. It was a problem if the white child didn't control themselves. It was not a problem if the Black slave children was wild, dirty, right? Didn't do their work. They weren't expected to, because inside of the mind of the European, these people, that's not their nature. Responsibility, accountability, adulthood, that's not their nature. So we'll do it for you, right? We will think for you and we'll ease your pain. You know what I'm saying? It's so interesting because, and it's a fucked up, it's the truth, but remove crackers out of a situation, remove the white people out of your country, organization goes, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. That's crazy. Why when the white man comes, all of a sudden shit starts to look different? I agree that gentrification is a problem, but why does this shit look different now? Why is it safe around here? That's fucked up. And you're not going to have me believe that Black people are not capable of shit, because when you dig into the history of the Black church, Black people didn't behave like that. You can disrespect them people all you want, but they didn't keep their neighborhoods like that. They didn't run their families like that. They were very industrious. What can you say about them bad? That they believed in Jesus? That's the only thing you can say bad? Well, y'all niggas got all the books, but don't got shit. If the only thing you can say about, yeah, they was my grandmama and them, they pussy, they turn the other cheek. All right, don't buy into that philosophy. What about the rest? Don't fuck with it if you don't agree with that. That's fine. That's fine. But you're turning the other cheek on a day-to-day basis, though, because you're not responsible for yourself. And then you allow white liberals to come in and smile, and you think they get it. That's a diss to you. The only thing a white liberal can give you is some motherfucking paper. What else? I don't need you to be on some Black Lives Matter shit. I don't need you to relate to my pain. I don't need none of that. We're the bread, fam. Use your white privilege so we can get some motherfucking things and stuff. Let me pimp your whiteness.
Right.
Straight up. Let me pimp your whiteness. Let me move you around. Let me give you all the ideals, and I'll push you into the directions that I need to go in. Yo, fam, you know.
That's what they were showing you in the black exploitation movies, right? They was moving in pieces. They had that FEAT, and they understood the concept that all of them politicians and the police was for sale. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're gonna be in business with them, be in business with them, because they're gonna be in your pocket anyway. You might as well be on the creditor side of the ledger rather than the fucking debtor. So there's ways to play the game, and you know what we're not gonna do is just give you an entire episode of landscaping what the problems are. You know, we definitely have solutions at work. You know what I'm saying? Solutions in motion. So I wanted to segue that to say that, you know, me and this brother have a on-demand special that we're putting together that really lays out in detail, because we can't do that on these episodes. We can't get too in depth and really just you know, put pearls out there to people who are non-deserving. But if you come behind the paywall and, you know, you engage in that level of business, then we can talk business, right? So there's definitely well thought out, methodical solutions to this, you know, and there's also trillions of dollars in the air. Like there's a lot of new money matrices that are available out there for people to really generate some income. And this whole aspect of what I'm seeing people playing the market and Forex, and I'm seeing them create money out of thin air. We're in a different space and place right now. You feel me? So you don't have to be physically located anywhere to connect as a network and everybody generate and run up the bag.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you the cheapest business that everybody can start right now. Mm-hmm. Everybody get out your pens. Everybody can do this. It'll save you mad money, and you will make mad money, and your life will change. Y'all ready? The best business opportunity right now, not even to get super complicated, mind your own. If you mind your business, life will change. I don't care what's going on outside. Mind your business. Simple as that. Listen to what the phrase is. Mind your business. Mind your business. Right? One of the things, and I'm going to keep talking about these people of ancient blacks, is focus. Right? The Jacksons used to sing and dance all day long.
Right.
Am I lying?
No, you're quite right.
Elijah Muhammad used to have 7-8 hour lectures. I got theology at the time, right? These people were engaged. Now, here's the thing. There's an aspect of the Black society that is missing, that's not laying down shit. And now this is going to make people squirm, but it's the truth. Black men can't talk to Black women about shit. The women don't respect them. That's an important thing. When we keep talking about old Black people and Blacks back, what is the key ingredient? Is that the Black man had respect. Dominion over his house, yo.
Right.
You feel me? He wasn't looked at as a clown. Now, there was some bad aspects about those of things that they did with their families, the aggression that they took out because of coming home. You're gonna abuse the people close to you. That's
not having an outlet. Yeah.
You ain't have an outlet. But there's counseling now, there's therapy now, all that shit. Meditation. We got things that they didn't have. Right?
They were so hurt that love hurt. You understand?
Right?
And love reminds them of the hurt because they can't necessarily protect the things that they love, and that hurts them the most because they're in situations that they're being hurt in order to feed the ones that they love. And even coming home and getting a hug reminds that man of his weakness that he just gave up to put the meat on that motherfucking table. And sometimes he's so broken and can't express it or has so much built up anger that, he takes it out on the softest thing next to him.
It's family, right? Family, right? This is a big thing. Liberal media targets who? Black women and children.
Yeah.
Right? We're at correction exposes character. Listen to what I'm saying. We're at the point, and it's very dangerous. Black women can't be checked. Can't be told nothing. Buzzwords, patriarchy, misogyny. Who hurt you? Can't say shit. Can't say anything. But I get it. These niggas is online talking about hair, weave, makeup, shit like that. So I get it. You know what I'm saying? So I understand how it comes. It comes from a mistrust. It comes from a goddamn, getting on niggas doing videos, long hair, don't care. A white woman does this. I get it. Black women was quiet for a long time, even in the midst of Black men creating ain't no fun if the homies can't have none, bitches and hoes, shit like that. Salt-N-Pepa still made What a Man, What a Man, What a Mighty Good Man. Angie Stone still made Black Brother, right? And still, and on all front lines concerning Black men, Black women have been the spearheader of that shit. So I get it, but I'm talking about a dude in good standing. A man just don't provide money. You can't look at the nigga you fucking with as a trick. It's not just money, it's information. And one of the things that Black men did back in the day were they protect their family from a lot of media. Once you start letting the magazines in your crib and you start letting certain programming on in your crib, they start bringing that shit in your household. And that's just been going on for a long time, right? So if you really pay attention, the media, look, think about the Shade Room. That's for Black women. All the Black girl magic and all that shit, I'm with all that. But none of these Black women that are talking about Black girl magic are actually teaching Black women life skills. Slay, sis, right? And Black women have replaced Black men with gay friends, gay male friends, right? He has more value than a heterosexual Black man at this point. You see, Boosie can't. So look at the key things, right? For a Black man to get attention from Black women right now, he has to be a positionless Black male, meaning that he doesn't have a position on anything. He can't say anything. He has to use words like misogyny and patriarchy and toxic masculinity and shit like that. He has to kiss a woman's ass. He has to accept disrespect. Or he's going to be womanless. Right? It's going to be, because if not, you're the angry Black man. Because what has happened is the image of the Hebrew Israelites and militant Black men have been posted for the world to see and made to look like clowns. I'm not saying they are, but the bad examples of them, the Hebrew Israelites yelling on the street, calling Black women bitches. I'm saying like how are they supposed to act? None of this shit moves without the belief. Yo, fam, listen to the music. All the girls talk crazy about niggas in the song. They're hit records. Nigga, I don't fuck you. Nigga, this, that, right? Travel 40 years ago. This is the songs men used to sing to women. Baby, I'm sorry. I love you. I want to see you. Let's work it out.
Right.
If loving you was wrong, a man said, if loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Right.
Right?
Look, I'm just saying, even this revisit going through the Babyface catalog, and I went to the
Babyface songs, bro.
And I listened to Teddy Riley's catalog, and I listened to Babyface, and you know that particular vibration of memory lane reminded me of time where I was like, yo, if they're saying that music is a true reflection of people's condition and environment of which they're supposed to be a product of, I'm like, nigga, it was buck wild outside at the time that this beautiful music was being made. You know what I mean? I'm like, the pressure in the presence of death was even more prominent and thicker when some of the strongest love vibrational frequency music was being made, and it never seeped into the music. The music always remained pure. You know, now we are somewhat surrounded, like how they talking about 5G radiation radiates the atmosphere and becomes a toxic frequency. That's for the most part of what that music on the energy spectrum looks like. It's like a nano swarm of COVID. Like, this shit is toxic because it's celebrating the very thing that have people most fearful now. The thing that entertain the people, the shit that make you laugh, make you cry, right? The shit that entertains the people is the shit that's scaring the people to death, right?
Facts.
Why are people so fearful to lose a thing which they spend every other day of their life trying to lose? Because niggas will take the whole cabinets of the pills, have seizures, and be back the next day drinking the fucking lean, talking about, nigga, I ain't never giving this shit up. Suck my dick. Right? And the whole internet was grieving for them 2 days before. And they don't even be like, damn, y'all owe it to my fans. I need to be here for y'all. I never felt the love like that. Y'all brought me back from the dead. You know what I'm saying? Maybe my change can do something to save somebody else's life. They be like, y'all niggas must be crazy. So if that's the stance that the culture supports, right? But then all of a sudden, there's this rush where everybody wants to hold on to this life that they don't appreciate any other, you know what I'm saying, out of any other days of the year. They always gambling with it.
The value of a black man at this point has been regulated to his ability to provide romance. That's the determining factor. Romance. That's the determining factor on his value. Nothing else. Romance. Right? When people say couple goals, it's what? Romance. Because the American woman in general has been sold the ideal of true love, which is novel based. That ideal didn't exist 200 years ago. It's an ideal based from plays. So if the relationship doesn't reach true love, then it's a failure. He's a fuck nigga. It's his fault. He's not a good man because he didn't provide romance. And all you have to do is listen to the swirling comments, the white man's ability to provide romance. But when you dig into that relationship, he's usually the nigger of whites.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a general. He's usually a soft white dude. That's just real talk. Not all the time, but he's usually something about him, right? And he can provide this ideal of true love, right? Now, this is the thing, bro. And capitalism allows all of us to live in la la land. When your hierarchy of needs is in order, it allows you to go to another level of human connection because you're not worried about starving to death. So in America, you can create fantasy and turn it into reality, right? So we watch and been bombarded by Cinderella, right? Men that are willing to risk their life to provide this lifestyle for a woman. Now, men are the true romantics, not women. It's men. Rapunzel, I'll save you, right? It's all about, men going through crazy shit just to prove that she's worthy and elevate her on the pedestal. That has been put in the movies, So that's a psyops, right? That Edward Barnay in his public relations to sell products to housewives of men that were in World War I and World War II. Washing machines, microwaves, all that shit. The baby boomer generation. When the man came home from war, he came home with a GI Bill and some money. And the wife was like, look, baby, let's get this. Daytime TV. The wife, who's it for, man? Women. Look at the programming, right? Look at the reel, look at the view. This is programming the woman's mind of what is acceptable in society, yo. Mm-hmm. Real talk. All right. So the issue is, let me say this. The issue is welfare black men. Welfare. This ideal of way too fucking emotional. Way too emotional. Afraid to say a hard no. Afraid to pick a position. Afraid of someone calling you toxic masculinity. Afraid of that. So you just, because you used to welfare. Right? And you've allowed women to also baby you and say, come here, baby. I know the system is hard. Yo, life is hard, period. Life is a fucking struggle for everything on the planet. Everything is struggling to survive, right? So what it has done, it has pushed the woman into a position of this concept of femininity. It's all a feminine. You know, the black world really deals with that shit. Feminine. Let me work on your femininity. What the fuck is that? A Chinese woman, what the fuck is that? All these women work, right? With their hands. They be on assembly lines. They shoot bow and arrows. When you think of the elite, the women, what do? Fence. Well, you think they're in a castle somewhere? No, they got fucking actual skill sets. They can kill an animal, kill a man. They have skills. They speak multiple languages. What do you think they're doing? Right? That package has been sold to Black America. And the Black man can't fuck with a Black woman unless she submits. So he wants the Black woman to just submit because he's got balls, not knowing that what do you mean by that? Right? And what he'll say is he'll link it to women back in the day. But she wasn't even alive in the 20s. So how do you know what they did? Grandma couldn't work. But what she did was practice a thing called home economics. We keep the money on the inside, right? But the woman wanted to contribute. So you got an upside down culture that is ran by pop culture, bro. If you turn that TV off for 1 second, watch the people change, B. They don't have original thoughts, fam, and they're scared to death to take a position and be called something. So they have no fucking identity. They don't know if they're coming. They don't know if they're going, right? There's a war with the gender. You feel me? Oh, a straight war with the gender. So in this new world, the people, you don't have to, but if you want to move forward collectively, because I'm not talking Black shit again. I'm staying on my new world talk, because Black talk is, so it's no call to action. So tonight, just cool. For the people to move forward, you have to have a hardwired belief, something that y'all can pin each other to the cross to. Right now, the funny thing is, people hate the pimp game, but it's rules in it. Purse first, ass last. What does that mean? No. I need the money first before we screw. That's a rule. Gorilla pimping. There's rules against that. The game is sold, not told. There's rules against that. You know why the pimp is hated in America? Not just Black pimp, any pimp, because he's a man that can turn down pussy. Facts. And he puts a woman in her place. He has value in himself. You don't look at the woman as the prize. You look at himself as the prize. The D-boy is elevated. The gangbanger is elevated. The drug dealer is elevated, nigga. The pimp is the most hated because he's the one that has, none of them other people have power over women. He does. Non-contact too. She chews up based on his value. Damn, I see you in the game, right? He has her mind based on his manhood. I'm not talking about these child trafficking niggas. I'm talking about niggas that really play that game. It's about money. And then look what they do when they get in corporate America. Start pimping white men. Same shit. That's a problem, right? So that's the element that is missing from Black America. The player Black man. The player Black man. The last time you've seen Black men confident in film is blaxploitation films. He always won. And he got the girl. And he stuck it to the man. Am I lying?
It's a fact. That's what I was about earlier. I said he was the prototype hero. You know what I'm saying? Because he always he controlled the planets in his orbit. If he had them crackers around him, he knew that, you know, as long as he stocked it to their pocket, he could keep them in pocket. And then, you know, he had his relationship with his woman. But that was the last depiction, like you said, that we actually confronted something and won it. You know what I'm saying? And rose to some sort of challenge where you got a chance to see what it looked like. The generation that's underneath us never got a chance to see what it looked like. We grew up on Mike Tyson. We grew up on Jordan. You understand? Shit. That was a different level of indoctrination for young melanated children saying, yo, I could fly. I could do some superhero shit. If you don't see that, what backboard do you have to bounce off of?
That's and for the record, look, this is the way the culture thinks, right? They'll see a man and he got a lot of women that he's sleeping with and call him a pimp. That's not a pimp. A pimp controls their sex drive, right? Pimps have hoes they haven't even slept with, right? So, but you can be a pimp in anything, but it's the mind frame. And what's going on in closing is Black women ain't confident in Black men to teach them, yo. It's a fact. So these niggas are forced to be positionless. They are forced to be tricks, fam. They are forced to let women get off on them, say anything to them, talk to them crazy, yo. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. But you're not gonna move. You're not gonna. The black woman can't move further if she can't be checked. She can't be challenged. You can't tell these women nothing. Even if you come respect, hey, I don't know if you should do that. You ain't my daddy. That's the number one thing, right? And she'll fuck with a nigga that got more money than this dude, even if the nigga's lame.
Yeah.
Facts.
Fucking Fendi.
Right? And it ain't right. And it ain't like the dude with the money's coming through for her. She just be around the money. It allows her to take pictures for IG. Well, he ain't really socking it to her pocket. She just want to be around the money. It's about lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
Right? But you gotta have belief. And the thing, since you mentioned Jordan, just let me say this. The OG of all OGs is Juanita Jordan.
Facts.
Where is she? You don't hear a peep out of this woman.
Right.
You feel me? What code did she go by? Yeah, her and Michael Jordan got a divorce and she got broke off. She ain't got no books. She ain't on Real Talk. She ain't got a camera in her face talking about Jordan. She ain't finna come out and talk about the documentary. She is somewhere, anywhere with a code and money. Right? Because OG black women look at these young black girls like, y'all bitches are some clowns, straight up.
Yeah, that's not how you do it.
You know what I'm saying? Talk too much. You care about lifestyle. You're too petty. You don't really know how to work a man for real. Right? You don't know. You don't want a man. You want a gay man. That's what you want. You don't want a man. Because a man is an asshole. You have to be. Right? Because you're trying to get somewhere. A man is an asshole. A man is an asshole. There's a mean element to him.
Go ahead.
You ain't with the bullshit. So everyone needs a constitution. If you don't got the Constitution of the United States, you got to create your own.
I put a post up the other day as well about Kanye. You know, I said, let's revisit Kanye now. You know, play the excerpt where he had an interview where, you know, he was pretty much speaking about the self-determination that is a mentality and an energy that's almost necessary right now to survive, because he speaks about being autonomous. He speaks about, you know, production and creativity and competing and, you know, utilizing imagination to be balanced on your limits. You feel me? And people said that he was crazy. And now he has the blueprint for success. You know what I'm saying? Now he has the template where he can build out his entire university and civilization of people who are forming what he considered to be a brain trust. You know, hence the reason he said that he initially formed Donda. You know, so he's seeing his initial plan and his dream come into a level of fruition. You know, but he always speaks about knowing that you can be historically right before the pack and having to be so unapologetic about that people are going to call you an asshole because nobody can change the way that you see where things are going and why you are moving in a direction that you're moving in to position yourself, right? So when the motherfucking house falls in Kansas, you are in the center and not on the out of it. And, you know, ultimately, you know what I'm saying? When you have that, what they call that prophetic vision, you know, the rest of the world has to catch up to what you already see. And that's what I'm witnessing with Kanye. So now Kanye almost looks like what you would call an evil genius, you know, from being historically right. Think about where he positioned himself and what position he took and the steps in which he aimed directly for Democrats. He told you what time it is. You feel me? And everything that initially he didn't have a backboard to support him. Now we seeing the shit bounce off of it. So we need to revisit Kanye and understand, like, go back to that song. Well, I forgot what album that was. Maybe it was Dark Twisted Fantasy or the one after that, where he's talking about that arrogance and being an asshole.
What's a fucking black beetle anyway? A fucking roach, right? One thing about him was his confidence, right? He just keep shooting. Now his flaw may be the fact that he doesn't read, so the things that he speaks is hyper emotional, so it could just go anywhere, right? But at the same time, I respect him because he's willing to take a position. He said George Bush don't care about black people. That's a position.
It's a position,
right? He said slavery was a choice. That's a position. That's a position. And rappers that don't make no songs other than tricking and dumb shit came after him. I found that interesting. I'm like, damn, what is so dangerous about that position that he took? Had to step back from it. But what it is a position. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
It's a position. And if you notice, good men, the classification of what a good man is a positionless male. Democrat, a positionless male, a male with no position.
Mm-hmm.
He's just whatever. He just goes or whatever. He's a pop culture. He's a meme person. He's woke. He's woke. You know what I'm saying? He's Derek Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Derek Jackson did well for himself on it. He found a niche. So I don't want to hate on a man's money. But it's interesting. Women follow a man with no position. He just shoots his fuck boys, and which is cool. That's whatever. But if a lot of people like you, you don't have a position. You don't have a position. Now, there are select few women that follow men that make them uncomfortable because he challenges them. Now, what does she do with that information after she's been challenged? Teaches her children. Right? The male makes her uncomfortable. The male makes her look at herself. You know what I'm saying? One of the illest things a dude can do to a pretty woman is immediately tell her, I don't give a fuck about your pussy. That shit don't work on me. You been having niggas act a certain type of way with you your whole entire life. I ain't going. I'm not kissing your ass. I'm not none of that shit. Because let's face it, lighter skinned women, certain looking women, niggas, they treat them different. It's facts. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. But one of the things from the jump, from the beginning, to keep the scales clean, I'm gonna deal with you as an equal. Equal. I'm not gonna talk down. I'm gonna come straight at you the way I would talk to a dude. But your beauty, your glamour is not gonna work. And if a dude can do that, that's part of conquering the fear that you was talking about earlier. The fear of a woman walking away. That is a huge, huge fear.
That's adrenochrome.
Huh?
I said that's adrenochrome for some of these niggas.
Yeah, man, it's her leaving.
Fear. You're like, ugh.
Oh no, baby.
That. Yeah, that's true. It's like a dagger in the heart.
Yeah. Please, nah. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But if someone walks away from a conviction that you have and a position that you take, that's fine. You got to be willing to stand on that shit. So I wanted to talk about the Black church a lot because I think they have been the old Black church. I think they have been severely misrepresented in the new age, and their strengths have not been magnified, and their skill sets and endurance and tenacity hasn't been magnified. And the people that have came from that are very, very, very understudied. And we have replaced their sweat equity with people that have glamour And we think Black excellence is just optics, right? And we allow people to talk to us ambiguously. Yeah, man, you just got to get on your grind. You know what I'm saying? The world will open up to you. What does that mean, yo? What's that mean? What do you read, fam? What is your day to day, right? What is the theme, right? Don't talk to me ambiguously, because that's not what you're doing to be successful. It's deeper than that, right? It's deeper than that. So I'm so glad that the fall of the gods are happening, so the public can now make a educated and intelligent decision on who they follow, because you get to see what it's hitting for. You know what I'm saying? You get to see what it's hitting for. You get to see Cardi B is telling you to stay home. That's cool. What else, baby girl? What else? People on their phones. Chop it up with me. How's marriage life?
Right.
How did you and your husband pivot from the public things that y'all have? What is the steps to stay married?
Yeah. What's your marriage success tips?
She's a married woman, yo.
Get through some real shit. Yeah. She could counsel on that phone. She can help people through difficult times. I know you're in the crib. I know you're going through some shit. Let me tell you what got me through my shit. Like that would be
crazy.
That would be crazy. That would be.
Yo, if Cardi B was on IG, fam, talking about her experience being a married woman, the ups, downs, advice, you know how many women that would change like that? I ain't talking about giving people no money or nothing. I'm just talking about the bare minimum. You got a phone in your hand with the Wi-Fi. She talking about Bernie Sanders about Trump. She does not have a constitution. I know this. She's using pop culture talking points to talk about Donald Trump. Now she's telling people, you guys need to stay home. Why? I thought, don't Black people need the sun, yo? Yes or no? Right? The fall of the gods. And it's great for people because now you are even, yo. Right? Now you can make a real informed decision about your gods, because there's no smoke and mirrors. Now you can see what it is. You know what I'm saying? You can see what it is, my G, and that's important. So belief is important. Identity is important. Black arrogance is important. Being able to be corrected is, I want to get corrected, bro. Hard. Give it to me straight. Am I underachieving? Am I fucking up? Let me know. Don't pat my back. None of that shit. Give me that real shit. Like, you don't give a fuck about me, and let me do what I want. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Tough talk.
Hey,
tough talk. You know what I mean? We can't be talking like them over there. We gotta pin the people to the cross. Do what you want with it, and then we'll see if we're historically right. Factoids.
Indeed, man. We just crossed the 3-hour mark. That was an epic marathon right there. A lot of gems, you know, a lot of light to help shine through the darkness, for you to see what's on the other side of things and understand the underpinnings of the underworld. And, you know, that's the underbelly, and that engine is actually what runs society. You know what I'm saying? Melanated people have to be able to not be scared of the dark, scared of darkness, because that correlates to their fear of death as well. It's one and the same. We have to be willing to psychologically understand how everything works, especially psychology. You know, so even if you're in the audience, you there's a pleasure for you to even understand the dynamics and the mechanics of how that psychology operates. And, you know, you do with it as you choose. But This is Tough Talk Tuesday episode.
I wanted to tell the people about about just in case they want to check it out. This is what Bill Gates is reading. It's so if y'all want to take a pen and pencil out, and it's an essay on the principle of population. It was written in 1798 now, right? And the writer was talking about controlling white population. So don't get it confused. They do not love each other like you love black people. Don't. It's an essay on the principle of population control, and the author is Thomas Robert Malthus, and you spell it Malthus. And you can actually it's a free PDF online, so you can check that out. Also, I want to shoot y'all audio book real quick. All right, 1 second. I'm gonna give y'all an old one that I referenced back in the day, and it's one that I always go to. It's short, and it's The Art of Money Getting by P.T. Barnum. The principles in there is cold, and if you know how P.T. Barnum made his bones, you know what I mean. So you can sit with something, because there's no reason to look past people's glamour and seeing what it is if you yourself don't change. And it's the perfect time, if nothing else, for you to work on self. You ain't got to get rich now. You know what I'm saying? You ain't none of that shit. This is a time where you mind your business and you could come out of this thing a better version of yourself.
Yeah. Right? One of the main opportunities that's presented to you in the present, meaning this very minute, this very moment right now, is that we are in the new moon energy. So during new moons, you have the ability to write your list down, right? And we still write around here. We're talking actually putting pen to paper, getting your writing in. So you can write down your invocations, and these are your intentions. You should already have something that is prescribed and laid out from concept or thought all the way to the actual finishing of it. You can program the universe at this particular time by writing down your invocations. And for example, I'll tell you how to start it. You should at least make a list of 10. For example, I would say, I, in my name, Paul Eric Moreland, easily invoke the right to X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that is. I would say, for example, I, Paul Eric Moreland, easily invoke the continuous success of Goldwater Corp. Right? And I will program it specifically, the continuous success for vitamin C moss. Each one of those products will get its own push, will get its own invocation. I will put its own universal imprint for its success in motion. And then when I'm seeing all of these do the very things that I seeded the universe for them to do, that enhances my belief in the process, even if that process wasn't directly responsible for it. Right? So this is how you entrain your psychology to work in favor for you, to be confident enough to project your own reality, with a Thanos snap. And this is how you're releasing fear. There's even visualizations to help you banish fear and conquer and battle fear. Right? There's meditations and visualization techniques that will help push through this stuff. And this is a necessary part of going through the trenches of this, upward mobility and consciousness, going through these chakras, moving through the crown into the corona. into the Christ rising, what they call enlightenment,
and
rebirth. When you push the fluid all the way up the spinal until it gets to that 33 vertebrae and you experience nirvana, right? When I tell the story about how my whole, my corona, my crown, it just was illuminated like 10,000 suns. And that's when I started getting my downloads in 2001. That was an experience I had. It was due to a narcotic. I took half of a motherfucking triple stack.
Hey.
Yeah.
And got on some shit, right?
Bro, I was fishing for pearls, right? And then I opened the clam and the shit said, pow. It was the brightest 1,000 suns. And all I got was downloads. I was auto writing for 5 hours straight like this. All the secrets to the universe.
That's interesting. Yo, just sidebar. If when you look at human consciousness and elevation and the arts, it always comes from a mind altering experience.
That's a fact.
Right? There are some people, and I'm not telling people to do nothing.
Yeah. I had to.
Right?
I told the story the other day. I had to disclaim it. I don't. That was when the shit was pure to begin with. So I really don't recommend that y'all go out there and get it. That shit was slapping. It was different. That ain't on the market. Don't do it. I don't recommend it.
So look.
No.
So Pete.
Psychedelics and yeah.
When you watch Doctor Strange, they couldn't begin until he ingested something. Right? In the movie Malcolm X, a nigga said, damn, you got any more of that? Right? In the movie The Matrix, Neo's journey had to start with a pill. Right? Mind-altering experiences, because there are levels of this reality we can't tap into with our conscious mind. Right? Now, there are some people that always say, man, I never did anything. And that's great. That's dope. But you also look at them on a creative level, they spend most of their life as workers, and that's fine. They haven't really created anything. Again, I'm not telling people to do anything, right? And the government doesn't mind drugs. It just wants you to use theirs.
Facts.
That's it. Government don't got a problem with drugs.
And go see these documentaries. All of this information is available. There's a deluge of information available right now. The shit is highly produced. The quality of its production is superb. Go see Out of Shadows. Go see the rest of these documentaries on the fact that the government is all it has its hand all the way in these drugs, the pharmaceutical, the street level, the fucking everything that you can think of. They was in the kitchen playing chemist, you know what I'm saying, stirring the pot. So, let's not play my holier than thou, but there are pathways and there are techniques, but these things require preparation, they require ritual, and they require ceremony. You know what I'm saying? In the way a lot of the indigenous ones work in particular, they require dance, which is the funny thing. Like I said, even me when I'm looking at on TV or Instagram TV for that matter, dance is a very highly spiritual inducing medium. You know what I'm saying? And it's very necessary for ceremony. So I'm able to see the silver lining in a lot of things. So I look at it in that version as well. Because in an alternative dimension in my mind, we always winning, and everything that we do is motherfucking in our favor, but just like in a retarded way. You get what I'm saying? So,
and that's how winners see the world, though, bro.
Fact.
Right? You can't tell Bill Gates that he's not doing something divine.
Nah, impossible.
He believes that. It don't matter what y'all believe. He believes it, and he got the funding to back that up, right? So don't matter the planet don't care about what's true and what's not, or how people feel. If the man says he wants to control the population, he's going to try his best to do it.
Right.
And you're not going to do nothing about it. But do what you do.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, most people, I'll end it with this. Most people are going to actually prove their point. Because you're going to have a baby with someone you don't get along with, and you're not going to raise the child together, and then the cycle repeats, and then the child is growing up in straight fucking hell. That's their mind. Yo, what I told y'all to read, that's a religion. And in Batman Begins, you have a character by the name of who? Ra's al Ghul. He belonged to the League of Shadows, right? Mm-hmm. The Joker's character, Bane, Thanos. Bane. These are or even Magneto, Apocalypse. Mm-hmm. They got this. What's my name? Bruh from Wonder Woman. They got the same agenda.
Facts.
Right? To control the population of humankind. This world is trash. Let's destroy it. Let's burn it. Introduce some chaos. Is the villain telling the truth? This is the last thing I want to say, and I want to sit this on y'all. Who's the real hero? Is it Batman and Superman that are protecting the politicians, that are protecting the system, corrupt cops, that are keeping the status quo going, right? Or is it the boogeyman, the villain, that wants to give you actually an opportunity to level this shit, blow it all up, and then see what happens, even the race? Which one of them is true? Which one of them got your best interest? TT, yo.
TT. I mean, that shit sound like Biff Posse. Right? That does be the posse that Biff belonged to. That would be the company that he keep. Shit.
Y'all gotta sit with that. Who really got your best interest? The Democratic Party telling you to make babies, but they're not promoting marriage, nigga. And one more thing, I gotta say this because I've been wanting to say this all day. If they truly wanted to control the population, they wouldn't let men and women quarantine together, because we're about to have a people burst come December, January. There's a lot of women getting pregnant right now. Now, what's the science to that? You have to produce the race of the permanent underclass. Because it ain't you, it's your children, it's your grandchildren. So the children that are coming after this are total welfare babies. They won't have a concept of the Constitution. They will belong. You are going to give birth to children that belong completely to the state. Right? So say goodbye to the natural human being. It's a wrap. Human artificial, baby, coming right up. Well,
I mean, that one deserves one of its own. We can't send you home without one of its own. I mean, you know, I'm understanding once again, because I do follow a code and I do follow a codex. You know what I'm saying? And that code and that codex is those two numbers, that 44. So the 44 has me always aware. When I take note of it, I automatically go to two aspects. Go to Mars and I go to the blood. When there's a connection there, I pay extra attention. And in this particular situation, the fact that I was telling people since the Super Bowl, my hashtag was "There will be blood." And I kept showing and telling them, because of the heavy presence, the fact that the Super Bowl was played in Miami and it was won by a Kansas City team, right? and those were a triple aspect of blood. I was saying, look, I'm noticing the 44s in China from December, and I'm telling people that the number 4 is an omen in China, it means death. I had already did my ancestral traditional reading of the year, and they told me that there was going to be a deluge of death, right? It's going to be a mass die-off, right? And then even based on what I experienced myself in the ceremony, because I'm quantumly entangled with the experience of me interfacing with this number externally, but I have an internal relationship to it as well because it's embossed in my blood, right? I was reminded by a lady I did a reading with. I did an interview with her on Saturday, but she did a reading on the show, and she was going through my cardology numbers, and she asked me, about my uncle, and I'm like, okay, what about him? She was like, he's trying to get in contact with you. Do you have a picture of him on your altar? And I said, I don't, but I do need to. And she said, that's who you named after, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's my namesake. So she hit me the next day and she's like, yo, your uncle really's trying to get in contact with you. So I called my father to ask him, how he doing, and ask him some other stuff. The minute I ring the phone and he answer, he'd be like, today's your uncle's birthday. And then I called my aunt and I wanted to, we built about him. She was like, yeah, I just posted a picture. I miss him so much. He would be 65. And we just started talking about him. And then we pulled his picture up, you know what I'm saying? And we did the meditation the other night. And he came through with communications. And I've just been having that Aries spirit on me ever since, not overstanding it. I'm an Aries moon and an Aries rising. And I'm named after my namesake and have to make a space and a place for that namesake to come in as well. And even that connection that goes all the way back to the energy of what comes with the connection to that name, Paul, because Paul wrote the Bible and not only write the Bible, but his mission started in 44 AD Antioch. Right? So we're talking about the boxes within the boxes. Right? Oh, and I'm going to play the footage of Kanye. He jacked the whole motherfucking, he ran with the whole box within the box clause. That we live in the boxes.
Man, I wish you could have played that James Brown, man. Damn.
Yeah.
That visual was crazy.
Trying to get that pulled up. But I do have a mega lineup tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Got to get ready for that. For the Instagram family on Earth Day, I want to dedicate the platform to women in the community that I know have products and services it would benefit the masses to know a little bit more about. So we're going to do that, and it's going to culminate tomorrow evening with an interview with Sophia Stewart, the mother of the Matrix and the Terminator. We're going to have, the pills. The last time we interviewed her was in 2012, and it was an epic program. You know what I'm saying? Because she's the mother of the Matrix. We the red and the blue pill. This should be interesting. You know what I'm saying? And the reality that she prophesied and wrote about, we definitely could see the templated backdrop for it right now. It doesn't take a lot of imagination to see which way this is going, what direction is headed, and she spoke on it. Skynet. Feel me? How you gonna have smoke for Skynet and you still in the kitchen with your Pyrex? Think about it.
I want book recommendation, and I'm recommending this book because one of the foundations of America is breaking, and that's the sciences. We got a lot of entertainers and shit like that, and we don't have serious scientists for real. Underrepresented in that area. I suggest
is there a replacement for the scientists coming after this particular wave? Like, are there any Neil deGrasse Tyson replacements? Who's being groomed and reared in that particular priesthood, if you will?
Actually, it's funny you said that because I recommend this book right here. The secret relationship between astrophysics and the military. Every astrologer should read this book.
Mm-hmm.
Every one. Right? The next frontier is space, yo. If you're really serious about your bloodline, you need to direct your children to put one of the things I would do if I was president, I would eliminate gender studies. Space programs, period. Missile defense, trajectory, satellite programs, all that shit. This is what China's on. If you're an astrologer, you need to read this book by Neil Tice DeGrease. When he put this book out, he never got to do a book run. They slapped him with a sexual assault case.
Right away.
I don't do conspiracies, but I found that very interesting because this book, it was not promoted at all. It is heavy.
Yeah.
So it's accessories to war.
When it came out, and then you ain't hear nothing else about it.
That's how it looks. Accessories to war, the unspoken alliance between astrophysics and the military, fam. This is, read it. Read it. That's all I'm gonna say.
But yeah, y'all. We're gonna call it a night very soon. You got any parting words for the family? Anything they need to know about?
Yo, you could go to kenbillions.com. You know what I'm saying? If you want exclusive content. I didn't promote my call line. It's 888-565-8734. So I've been in the future. I've been took my game to phone calls, right? No brick and mortar shit. You know what I mean? But what I want to say is one of the tenets of Black arrogance, and I'll talk about that next time, is to be correct and misunderstood at the same time, right? So I know that my delivery oftentimes makes people go, right? And that's something that I learned from Bobby Hemmett. Bobby Hemmett said he curses on purpose so people don't put him on TV. That's a weapon. Because the moment you commercialize it, it's dead, right? So why do I talk the way I talk? So you don't think I'm one of your saviors. You will not do that to me because I want to live my own life. I'm not curving my life to save niggas. You already got people for that. And I see what you do to them. And they look bad right now, right? So I talk a certain type of, I don't gotta cuss, I don't gotta offend, but I do it on purpose just so it rubs people the wrong way. And those that have ears hear, right? So one of the things about Black arrogance is to be correct, but misunderstood at the same time, right? That's a thing. You don't want everybody to get it. You want to be acquired taste only for certain people. You don't want to be for everybody. There's value in that. Bentleys, Ferraris, Lamborghinis have that price because everybody can't afford it. Everybody don't have it. They don't do commercials for Ferraris, right? The Rob Report, either if you know, you know. But Black arrogance is about not being for everybody, right? Be in the me business, and you align yourself with those that think like you, right? So that's my thing of, you know, I'm very protective of the Black elders. I think they got a bad rap fucking with you niggas. No retirement programs, nothing. I got a problem with them dying broke. One of my mission statements, my philanthropy, is to set up a retirement program for people that if you wasn't a conscious community or it's anything, you put it down for the people, we got your retirement. You know what I'm saying? Phil Valentine, all them people that put it down and could have did other things, they should die balling. We will fuck with nobody say. These niggas should be retired somewhere. Somebody, they still gotta work. Why? Because ain't nobody come, you ain't better than them. So 70-year-old, 80-year-old people still gotta talk. These niggas retired on a boat, on a yacht. God damn. So that's me. So that's my closing thing of Black arrogance. That's my religion. I believe in that shit.
Rolex at the end of them serving on the plantation. If that's the case, you know what I'm saying? Master teachers don't got it. Nothing on their way but stones. So
Mhm.
You know, I do understand all of that. Everything that you're saying is what needs to be heard. People need to really take stock of what's taking place out here. You know,
Right? Yeah. So I believe in black arrogance. I live that shit. So I stand on it like the white niggas stand on the Constitution. And I don't care who like it. I don't care who make videos about me. It's all good. Black arrogance or nothing. Right? I'm not getting off that. I'll be humble with the babies. That's it. Right? And that's what it is, bro. So I'm working on that Constitution. So those that want to adapt that philosophy and identity, you can and live it out in real time, you know, and train your family up and train your sons and your daughters to walk outside knowing can't nobody fuck with them at all. And you'll sure improve with your sweat equity.
that part. All right. Let them know what the Cash App is.
Kenny Briz, yo. $ Kenny Briz. Follow me on YouTube, man. My subscriber list is struggling. I don't deal with current events, so this shit is hard to get some traffic with that algorithm. So follow your boy on YouTube. I need some, and make sure you click the bell too, so you can get updated and shit like that. But yes,
What's the address?
Huh?
What's the address to your YouTube?
Just type in Ken Billions, you'll see me come up. It's woof, nigga. When you don't touch trending topics on YouTube, it is a struggle to get followed. Yeah, for real.
With you. For family, we are setting up video on demand, special Tough Talk, uncensored. All right.
Totally.
So we will be informing you very shortly about the availability for the pre-sale for this amazing event that's coming. In the meantime, in between time, all right, stay focused, family, stay alert, and thank you for attending the latest episode of Tough Talk Tuesday.
Right. Love. You already know, man. Get at me, fam.
Peace, God.